Hello. Testing, 1, 2. I probably should have tested my mic before the stream started, but it's okay. It's okay. Can everyone hear me? Hi, Sh5N15. Good evening. Hello, Babs, Mistress, Miss Morgan. They know who their audience is. So that's interesting. That's actually going to be like the whole theme of our video. That's not the whole theme, but I do think that's important. So I am 30 seconds late. I do apologize. I know I'm late a lot. It's not colored people time or anything like that. Please don't say that in the chat. It's definitely that I made tea and I had to wait for the water to boil and such, so I could steep it. I'm steeping the tea. Today's tea is wild raspberry hibiscus. That's a tough one for all of my lisp havers. Wild raspberry hibiscus tea. So that's what we're drinking today. And as we wait for the tea to steep for 4 minutes, pizza delivery. Okay, that's not for me, but I'll take it if it comes to this door. That's what I'll do. Hello, Mara. Welcome. Welcome, Mistress. Welcome, Purple Lover. And Ronell, good morning. It's definitely evening here. I don't know where y'all are, but it's evening here. Hello, the other MJ. Hello, Sipster. Welcome, Rubies. Okay, so we have a good bit of people here now. So let's go ahead and start. Obviously, if you guys have seen the title of the video, thumbnail, anything like that, then you know we're going to be discussing Abba and Preach in their recent take on Keke Palmer and her ex, Darius Jackson, in their recent happenings, which I'm sure you guys are all aware of what's going on. Yes, please do like and share the video. Thank you. That does help on your way in, or dislike it if you don't like it. I don't care. Fuck you. I get at least one F-bomb per video. I've been testing out something on YouTube, and I think as long as we're like just one per video, it's fine. So I just used it up, but be looking out for that in the future. I'm gonna use at least one per video, so we can keep this thing PG-13 and up. No children here. Welcome, Brittany. South Korea, so I usually listen to you all at work. Okay, welcome, Ami. That tea is good for women. Raspberry tea is good for a woman's reproductive system, and hibiscus is good for lowering high blood pressure. Well, I don't have ovaries, but if I did, this tea would be doing something good. But other than that, it just tastes good. So I wasn't expecting the F-bomb. That's right. We're PG-13 plus now. Thank you for the $1.99 petty Obama. I don't know what that means. I actually have no idea what that means. But thank you. I have no idea what that means. Hold up. Is that like a curse word in a different country? Does that say Obama or Obama? I don't have my glasses. It's fine though. Welcome, Cantor. Thank you. So we're going to pop this off with some memes. Y'all already know how I like to structure my live streams. And before I play my intro, we have to play the meme so we can separate the serious part of the conversation from the niggatry. I do think that's very important. Too many people like to mix in niggatry throughout the conversation. I don't. I'm 100% serious all the time. So we have to get the giggles out before we start anything. So let's see what memes I have for you all today. I hope none of these have copyright music on it, because I'd like to leave this video public and not for members only. Whoa. Dirty Socks ice cream. Okay, I think we've seen enough. I think we've seen. Okay, I think we have enough memes for today. That's enough of that. That's enough of that. Let's see what else we have.
Name 3 black people.
Oh,
Oops.
You name 3 black people.
oh, sorry. Sorry.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm feeling good because today is my birthday.
Birthday!
Wow.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday, dear
Shirley.
Shirley. Is that your American name?
Oh no, I'm Chinese, so
Oh,
English name.
it's your English name. What's your real name?
My name is Zi Tonghuang.
Happy birthday, dear Zinkontong. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, girl. Where you going? Where you going?
Go home.
Home. Let's go have a drink in this club. Come, come. You name 3 black people.
Oh,
That's what she said. She said, "Can you name 3 black people?" And then it turned into that. I can't believe Megan Thee Stallion is out here in these streets trying to force Chinese people to name black people. All right. What else do I have here? Oh no, I can't. This wasn't a meme that made me laugh. It was just the comments that I went into. So I'll play it and then I'll read the comments. Okay, let me read the comments. Someone said he was trying to 1v1 with Kobe. Somebody said he went to heaven. Somebody said this was 1945 Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Somebody said bro's about to be drafted by God. Somebody said he found the light. Somebody said he ascended. Somebody said shine bright like a diamond. Somebody said he went to the afterlife. Somebody said this is how early 2000 sports movies be ending. And someone said he casually walked into the sun. And somebody said, rest in peace, gone too soon. There. I didn't find this funny. I actually just felt called out because that is how I cook. All right, let's do last two. Let's do our last two. This is unironically how things tend to go when I try to help my mom. So I did feel that. I felt it. It was felt.
Have you heard the N-word less as you've gotten older in your life, do you feel like, or did you hear it much growing up?
Nah, I never had somebody like a different race call me the N-word to my face.
Never?
Never. I think I'm like one of the
You ready?
ones. Well, no, wait.
Have you heard the N-word less as you've gotten older in your life, do you feel like, or did you hear it much growing up?
Nah, I never had somebody like a different race call me the N-word to my face.
Never?
Never. I think I'm like one of the
You ready?
ones. Well, no, wait.
Well, anywho, it wouldn't be me in that room. I feel like I wouldn't even be in that situation in the first place. Somebody said they're about to end his streak. Okay, let's see what's going on with Kevin Gates, and then we can get into the video.
Care what people don't like. They got mad when I said I don't support Black Lives Matter, because who they matter to. We kill each other all day. We talk about each other all day. You know who talk about me the most on the internet? Niggas. Niggas. You know what's worse than a nigga? 2 of them. Make you don't want to be a nigga. Don't care what people don't like. They got mad when I said I don't support Black Lives Matter, because who they matter to. We kill each other all day. We talk about each other all day. You know who talk about me the most on the internet? Niggas. Niggas. You know what's worse than a nigga? 2 of them. Make you don't want to be a nigga. Don't care what people don't.
Okay, those are all our memes for the day. Those are all of our memes for the day. I don't think I want to get into any of these other memes. There was this one, but I think it might be copyright, so I'm afraid to play it because somebody went on Dr. Phil and said some stuff that I thought was funny. Let me see. Maybe I can play a little bit of it.
I got 9.9 out of 10 after 327 women rated me. Let's see your talent. Let's see your talent, you ugly piece of.
Okay, stop. Hey, look at me.
Let's
look
see
at
your
me.
talent.
No, hey. No, you need to look at me.
I don't have to do.
I don't know what the context is for this. I hope my video doesn't get copyright because I chose to play that. Fair use and whatever. This is a commentary, a social critique, if you will, where we look at white people on Dr. Phil and try to examine, I don't know, whatever video essays say. So I was just trying to figure out what was going on. I have no context for that at all, but I felt it. I'm here for it. But Kevin Gates said the only thing worse than a nigga is 2. So that was funny. Let's get into this. Kevin Gates. Kevin Gates said the only thing worse than one nigga is. Let's listen to that one more again. Just one more.
Okay. What people don't like. They got mad when I said I don't support Black Lives Matter, because who they matter to. We kill each other all day. We talk about each other all day. You know who talk about me the most on the internet? Niggas. Niggas. You know what's worse than a nigga? 2 of them. Make you don't want to be a nigga. Okay.
All right, Kevin Gates. So yes, the memes were a little bottom tier today. I already used my F-bomb, so I'm not gonna say F y'all. But Kevin strikes me as the type of man who thinks he's more intelligent than he is. Look, I'm not upset that he has a critique for Black Lives Matter. I would have worded things differently. But I'm not mad at him if he says black people didn't treat him good and black people are just killing each other. Say what you want to say. Be free. Be free. He said he don't like Black Lives Matter because the only thing worse than black people is 2 black people. Had Dr. Phil shook. Dr. Phil didn't know what to do. Yes, he was moonwalking. I'm late due to baking brownies, but hey, Petty and hey, chat, welcome. Don't worry. We haven't started anything serious yet. So Abbott and Preach, who are on the thumbnail of this video, I assume. Abbott and Preach made a video about Keke Palmer and Darius Jackson, and Keke Palmer's mom. And when I saw the video in my YouTube feed, I was confused because Abbott and Preach don't, like the Manosphere and Red Pill channels don't tend to come up in my YouTube feed or TikTok or anything like that because that's not the type of content I consume. So I was surprised to see them in my feed, and I was very surprised to see them commenting on the Keke Palmer stuff, because in my mind, from the last time I remember watching Abbott and Preach or talking about them on this channel, I don't remember what we were looking at exactly. I can't recall the exact video, but Abbott and Preach definitely are what's the word? It feels like I'm pulling up the video I made about it because I don't even remember what the video was about. I'm pulling it up, guys. Don't worry. Here we are. I should have wrote something in the description. I have no idea what this is about at all. Let's see a little bit. Nothing like never mind. I'm not about to play old me. But from what I remember, Abba and Preach tend to really go in on women. They don't tend to do the same on men. That was my experience watching Abba and Preach. So that could be entirely wrong. I haven't seen every single video they've ever made. So maybe it's not a fair critique of their content, but it does seem like most Manosphere content, their content seems to be, what can I put out that will make the men who follow me like upset and like click the like button and share and engage with it. And what tends to do that is content that's like modern female delusional, modern woman is average at best, and modern woman humbled, or something like that. So that's their content in my experience. Again, disclaimer, grain of salt, because I have not watched every single Abba and Preach video ever. So please take that statement and that critique of their channel with a grain of salt. Now, what I did notice yesterday, or maybe 2 days ago, they also put out a video. Again, I was shocked to see them in my feed because they're not the type of content I tend to consume. I don't know what's going on with YouTube lately, but they were putting out a video about someone named Matt Rife. If you're unaware of who Matt Rife is, he's a white man, allegedly attractive. I didn't see it, but allegedly. You know what? I think people who have muscles, people tend to find them attractive regardless of what they look like. So I understand it kind of. But allegedly attractive, and pretty much built his platform off of the backs of women who think he's attractive, so they follow and like his content. After he built his content off of the backs of women, he recently said he doesn't like that he can't tell if he's actually funny or if women are just liking him because he's attractive, allegedly. So he put out a new special where he says he appeals to men, and some of the first jokes he made were like domestic violence against women. Women need to stay in the kitchen. If she was in the kitchen more and she could cook better, she probably wouldn't have that black eye in the first place. So he made some interesting jokes that he felt like would appeal to men. I think it's interesting that he felt like that would appeal to men, but I don't necessarily disagree that jokes about domestic violence and women staying in the kitchen would not appeal to men. So I completely understand if he says he wants his audience to be men, why he would make that jokes. But it does feel quite disrespectful for him for the only reason that he's able to get a Netflix special in the first place is because he's as big as he is. And the reason he's as big as he is because his platform is built off the backs of women. So it does feel a little bit insulting for you to come out and say, you know what, F these women. This is why y'all getting beat, because y'all can't cook. And they need to put you in the back of the kitchen so we can't see your black eye. That does feel unusual to me. I don't police people's comedy. Y'all know we just went through our memes, and our memes are always problematic. So I'm not the person to be critiquing someone's comedy and what they can and can't joke about. But it does feel a little bit strange for, again, someone to build their platform off of women and then pretty much turn their backs on women and insult them. So Abba and Preach had some stuff to say about that. I watched a little bit of that video, not the whole thing, but they seem to be confused. Maybe I was interpreting their video incorrectly. You guys can go watch it if you want to. It's called, well, you could just search Abba and Preach Matt Rife, and I'm sure it'll come up. But Abba and Preach seemed confused. I don't remember what their exact statements were, but it seems like they're confused that people are trying to, quote unquote, cancel him for making those jokes about DV against women and women staying in the kitchen. I don't understand why they're confused about someone who builds his platform off of women insulting women, and then women are upset. I don't understand where the confusion comes from. I feel like I understand pretty clearly why people would be upset at that, specifically why the women who follow him would be upset at that. But Abba and Preach seemed confused. So a day after they put that out, they put out a video about Keke Palmer and Darius Jackson and Keke Palmer's mom. And if you guys are unaware, I think we're all aware about the Keke Palmer situation, right? But I can pull up a news article if you guys want a quick synopsis to summarize. Things started, the niggatry began earlier this year when Keke Palmer went to celebrate her birthday with Usher. Darius Jackson, instead of messaging his girlfriend, since they weren't married or anything like that, he says he's a man of the family, not husband or anything like that. He messaged his woman, instead of messaging his woman of the family and telling her privately that I didn't like the outfit you chose to wear out today, and discussing that privately, he chose to get on the internet and shame her in hopes of other men standing behind him and being like, yeah, she shouldn't have wore that out. And while there were men standing behind him and agreeing with him, it feels like he got overwhelming backlash, and people were like, you're insecure and such like that. After this, Keke Palmer and him seemingly break up, seemingly get back together, seemingly break up again. And then it leaks that Keke Palmer took out a restraining order against him, alleging abuse. And then some still photos from her security system at her house. I almost said their house, but she owns it, and he just was living there. So some security footage from her house came out. Well, it didn't come out. It leaked to the public. I don't think she actually reached out to tabloids or anything like this and put this out on the internet. I think she contacted police or the court and presented this as evidence for the restraining order, as well as they now have a court case going forward. And that leaked, and we found out he was, let me put this on the screen because I don't know if y'all are visual people. But yeah, that's how we found that out, to summarize. So in November, Keke Palmer was granted a request for a temporary domestic violence restraining order and a temporary sole custody of their 9-month-old. Wait, how come this is my first time seeing their son's name? Leotis Leo Andrelton. Leotis Leo Andrelton. There ain't no way. Hold up. Excuse me 1 second, please, because I need to understand. Born during Black History Month with a name to match, wrote Keke Palmer as she announced the birth of her and Derek. Oops, I almost said Derek Jackson. Oh, how come these people have similar names? They welcomed a child named Leotis Andrelton. Let me see where that comes from. Well, I'm gonna have to Google that name because it has to come from some ill. Sorry, I didn't mean to say ill out loud. That photo. That was very rude. Yeah, I was just trying to see if they had some info on where does that name come from, because maybe I need to get back with my roots. Thank you, Dottie Girl, for the 5. That's not dollars. I have no idea what that symbol is. Thank you for the 5 euros, the 5 splebs. I don't know what those are, but thank you for them. I don't know if that's a lot of money. I don't know if it's a little money, but it's money, and I appreciate it. I'll put it towards my hair, which is why I'm wearing a little thing today, because the hair is not hairing. So, but thank you. Anyway, I say all this to say that they had the DV stuff going on. We're all aware of that. I'm just trying to give a quick synopsis of it. So in my mind, when I see Abba and Preach making a video, I'm thinking they're going to come out and condemn condemn Darius Jackson. Darius, not Derek, Jackson, and what he did to her, and maybe talk about the idea of men abusing women, why that's bad, why it tends to happen disproportionately towards women as opposed to men. Like, I thought they were just going to pretty much give commentary on it because they seem like they're a commentary channel. I was very surprised in the framing of their conversation, because they have been silent for all of this. I went and looked in their channel history. They haven't said a thing about Keke Palmer except in the video 4 months ago where Darius publicly shamed Keke for wearing her outfit outside and said, she's a mom, though, you shouldn't dress like that. Abba and Preach didn't have a lot to say about what he said. They did have a lot to say about whatever problems you have with your partner should be discussed in private and not online, which I don't necessarily disagree with. But the only time they actually commented on the actual content of what he was saying was to take issue with people who were calling Darius insecure. And Abba and Preach were saying it's not insecurity. Some men just don't want their partner out here looking trashy. Now, I feel like that statement in itself screams insecurity to me. Probably immaturity too, but I also think it's I just think it screams insecurity to me. So that's the only thing Abba and Preach have spoke about until they come out with this video, which I'll put on screen now, and we can go through and let it play and just comment on it. I have watched a little bit of this video. I haven't watched the whole thing. It's called Mother Podcast with her daughter's A-word. Do families protect evil people? Keke Palmer. So just the title in the let me see if I can find a thumbnail.
Whoa.
I can't find the thumbnail. Just the title and the thumbnail I think are a little weird, because it feels like in a conversation about a man allegedly abusing a woman, they are focusing on the woman and her mother who were abused, as opposed to actually focusing on the abuser and critiquing the abuser. So I think that's a little weird, but we can just watch it and go through it together.
Wait, this actually got really weird. That's her mom.
That's her mom?
The mom been knowing that this dude been putting hands on her for more than a year. And they sit together on a podcast like nothing happened.
You know what's good? When you find up somebody that loves you, that respects you, that makes you feel good, that enhances your life, screw the money.
That's
you know.
Oh, and my first question when they put this up was the podcast recorded before or after the events that happened? The events allegedly happened. I think it was. I think it was after. I think, but I can look into that more as we get into the video.
Shocking allegations of domestic abuse from popular TV personality Keke Palmer. The former host of GMA3 and the game show Password has been granted a temporary restraining order against her ex-boyfriend.
You don't remember this guy. He was the guy who was mad because his and the mother of his child was dancing with Usher. That stuff happened. You know, internet lost it. This guy got online, said, yo, she a mom, though. Why is she up here grinding on Usher? A lot of people felt some type of ways. Comes out recently that she filed a restraining order against him for allegations of... No, let's find out.
The actress, who famously showed off her belly button.
Wait, let me pause. It's almost like men who are controlling in this way, and they're like, you a mom, though, you shouldn't be wearing that outside. It's almost like if this is something you're willing to do in public, I've always said this, if this is something you're willing to do in public, you're doing something much worse in private, because this is what you feel like is publicly acceptable. And people definitely get a lot more raunchy in private than they do when they're in public. People put on a face in public. So if your public facing self is already terrible, then I already know what's going on behind closed doors.
Bump when she appeared on SNL submitted shocking images to the court taken from surveillance video, including this one of her being thrown over the back of a sofa, his hand around her throat. Keke Palmer alleges the domestic violence occurred here at her Los Angeles home over the course of 2 years, and she says the most recent incident happened last Sunday. It got so bad, she called police.
On the phone that the suspect was attempting to kill her.
In the court documents, Palmer says the abuse included striking and grabbing me around the neck and threatening to kill himself with a gun if I left him. Palmer says the abuse had gone on for 2 years. These photos from
Let me pause and say, whenever somebody says, if you leave me, I'm going to off myself, I don't believe them. I believe they're going to off their partner. They might off their children, and then they might off themselves. But I don't believe they just going unalive themselves, because I think a statement like that is about control, and I'm losing control. So I want to force you back into a relationship with you by threatening that I'm going to unalive myself. And if he can't threaten you back into that relationship, then he gonna start threatening you instead of himself. That's just my personal belief. So, grain of salt.
2022 showed Jackson allegedly manhandling her. She ends up at the bottom of the stairs. She also accuses him of hitting me in front of our son and spewing profanities about me to our son. Palmer's mother, Sharon, weighed in on the accusations last night, saying she reached out to Jackson's brother.
I went to Sharonis over a year ago and told him that his brother was a
to my daughter.
To refresh everybody's memory. So Gabrielle Union a couple of weeks ago, she had spoke about how she and Dwayne go 50-50. Like that's important to her. She feels like, he does this, she does that. And that's how they do it. Yeah. And Dwayne came back out because they're, Gabby actually received some flack about that. And Dwayne comes back and he speaks to it as well. And here's my thing. I grew up in a home, you and Dad, y'all been together for over 30 years. Y'all
35.
I remember when y'all both was doing the factory shift together.
That's right.
Y'all have always done everything 50.
Whoa, wait. This actually got really weird. That's her mom.
That's her mom?
The mom been knowing that this dude been putting hands on her for more than a year.
Let me pause. This is when Abba and Preach says it gets weird. In my opinion, this isn't when it gets weird. The abuse, the alleged abuse, is where it gets weird. When the man publicly shames the woman for wearing some clothes he don't like, that's where it gets weird. When I think about a domestic violence situation where a man is putting his hands on a woman, I don't think it gets weird at the mom or the child for sitting with the abuser. I think it gets weird with the abuse. Weird is like a less strong word than I would use, but I think that's where it gets weird. So it feels weird to me for them to be starting the conversation at Keke Palmer's mother instead of at Darius Jackson. That's where I watched it and I was like, okay, maybe we can talk about this because I feel like their framing is weird. So we're going to go through the rest of the video, but I just wanted y'all to be aware that this is the part where I paused it and I was like, interesting. Yeah. Oh, and I also want to pause and say, I don't necessarily disagree with the idea that that we can have a conversation around parents who enable abusers. I absolutely don't disagree that we can't have conversations about that. For example, Darius's mom, if you guys remember, were reading the text messages that she sent to Keke Palmer's mom where she was defending Darius. Those messages felt very enably to me. It felt very much sweep under the rug to me. So yeah, but that's not where the weird feeling comes from to me. The weird feeling comes just from this entire situation with Keke Palmer and her ex. But the specific part they wanted to focus on was Keke Palmer's mom.
I went to Sharonis over a year ago and told him that his brother was a...
And they sit together on a podcast like nothing happened.
Well, the only difference is that there's no red table, but it's a talk.
Yo, this shit weird. Ain't that weird?
Yeah.
Okay, hypothetical. I'm just trying to match this to my own life. This has never happened, will never happen, but let's say hypothetically, God forbid. I'm beating my girl. Me and my girl decide to run a podcast. And her dad knows I'm beating his daughter. I'm sorry.
When you say it like that, it makes no goddamn sense.
Yo, but you think he's just gonna be sitting?
Ami Daniel, did she do the podcast before or after the abuse? The podcast, I think, is before we found out about the abuse. Let me check. Because I remember looking up the podcast. I thought I already had a link to it so that I could pull it up during this video, but I guess not. The podcast, if I remember, was before we find out everything that's going on. I think it might have even been before he said the stuff about Usher, but they're pointing out that the mother said she knew this was going on for a year. So unless the podcast was pre-recorded, which it could have been, even though we didn't know at the time, Keke Palmer's mother and Keke Palmer Keke Palmer was allegedly being abused during the time of that podcast, and allegedly Keke Palmer's mom knew.
Sitting up on this podcast talk about compromise and settling.
You know what the thing is? I think so. There's some people that are like that because of. I'm gonna tell you something. Coming from a Haitian back.
Oh, I also wait. Hold up. Let me rewind that. Let's let it play a little more before I say that.
Sitting up on this podcast talk about compromise and settling.
You know what the thing is? I think so. There's some people that are like that because of. I'm gonna tell you something. Coming from a Haitian background, Haitians are like. I say Haitian.
They pretend like nothing happened.
Haitian because that's what I know. Okay. But I know there's a lot of Caribbean people and immigrant people that are like that. You know it. That they gonna out in public, they're gonna hide all that because they have to look good. One of the things your Haitian parent is gonna say to discipline you.
So pause. I actually don't disagree with what Preach is saying, but I wanted to start with what Abba said. So Abba is confused because how do you know this person is abusive and you're still around them? Well, instead of talking about men and how men tend to stay friends with their male friends who are doing abusive things to other people, I wanted to instead pull up what I found when I Googled why do abuse victims stay? Because that's immediately what comes to my mind. If they're asking the question, well, they're not asking the question, but it seems like Preach or Abba, whichever one is on, let me see, whichever one is on the right, the light-skinned one, the tall light-skinned one. Well, they're both tall, I think, but the taller one who is light-skinned. He's confused. He's like, why would they stay around this person knowing that they're an abuser? So the first thing I did is went and Googled a question that I've actually Googled before because I know people who have been in abusive relationships. And the first thing I found was, number one, the link to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, which I appreciate Google for putting that right there. But number two, I found several links to articles and organizations, government websites, psychology websites. Here's one from the LAPD, National Domestic Violence Hotline, Florida State University. So if you actually are confused, this would be towards Abba and Preach, obviously, or people who might be in Abba and Preach's shoes who are confused about or questioning why someone is staying around a person who's abusive. There are plenty of resources for you to go and look up why. The first one I found was from the NCADV. So the NCADV, the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, I'll leave it on screen in case you guys want to read it. But a lot of what they're saying has to do with the abuse victim feeling fear at leaving, obviously. I'll read a little bit of it. When it's a viable option, it is best for victims to do what they can to escape their abusers. However, this is not the case in all situations. Abusers repeatedly go to extremes to prevent the victim from leaving. In fact, leaving an abuser is the most dangerous time for a victim of domestic violence. One study found in interviews with men who have killed their wives that either threats of separation by their partner or actual separations were most often the precipitating events that led to the murder. I think I clicked on this link too. And when I clicked on this link, this is not the link I clicked on. I don't know what this is. You guys can't see it, but this link just brought me to a weird website. But I did click on that study to go and look at it. Men who have killed their wives, threats of separation by their partner or actual separations were most often the precipitating events that led to the murder. Remember in Abba and Preach's video that we just watched 30 seconds ago, in the beginning of their video, they show a clip of the news. Was it the news or was it someone else? I forgot who, but they were showing, allegedly Darius is saying stuff like, if you leave me, I'm going to unalive myself. And I made a comment that I definitely feel like people who say that are actually going to unalive the woman, maybe unalive the children, someone around them, etc. There's actually research to indicate that. Sorry, I have like 50 tabs open and I'm trying to put the right one on screen. I'm clicking between like 50 tabs right now. Y'all just can't see it. Let's read a little bit more as I search for that tab. A victim's reasons for staying with their abusers are extremely complex, and in most cases are based on the reality that their abuser will follow through with the threats they have used to keep them trapped. The abuser will hurt or kill them. They will hurt or kill the kids. They will win custody of the children. They will harm or kill pets or others. They'll ruin their victim financially. The list goes on. The victim in violent relationships knows their abuser best and fully knows the extent to which they will go to make sure they have and can maintain control over the victim. The victim literally may not be able to safely escape or protect those they love. A recent study of intimate partner homicides found that 20% of homicide victims were not the domestic violence victim themselves, but family members, friends, neighbors, persons who intervened, law enforcement responders, or bystanders. So if you hear me calling both Keke Palmer and her mother a victim, it's because both the way that we tend to refer to family members in the criminal justice system, at least according to my understanding, is if you are a family member or friend or have a relationship with the person who is suffering from domestic violence, murder, or anything like that, the court does consider you a victim as well. For example, if someone unalives your son or daughter and the court has to let me see, what was it? No, I think it was a police brutality case. The police killed some black man and his family took them to court since they were the quote unquote victims, and they ended up suing the police department and getting a settlement that was distributed to their family. So the court does consider family members victims, right? Not only indirectly, but directly, according to this research, because the person who is abusing the woman in this case can also be abusive to family members and friends and neighbors and other people who intervene. So when Abba and Preach bring up the fact that he was threatening to unalive himself, as well as I assume threatening to unalive Keke or do other things, I feel like this could very much be a reason why even her mother might be afraid to speak out. I'm not saying that is the reason. Maybe she just doesn't care or wants to sweep it under the rug. It could definitely be something malicious. I'm just trying to look at this from the perspective of what the research is saying. So the research is saying that even people who aren't the who aren't the recipient of the violence, the physical violence, can also be a victim, can also fear speaking up, etc. So I just thought that was interesting. I went through and read that. So let's go back here. Cue Abbott and Preach. I also do appreciate, before I play it, that Preach is trying to preaches like, oh yeah, people do definitely keep silent, especially he says where he's from, people definitely do keep silent and try to save face. So I do appreciate Preach for trying to put some type of nuance in it.
Is what are the others are going to say? What are they going to say about me at church? They say that stuff.
So you think they prioritize that over the safety of their child?
I'm asking. I feel like sometimes it's not really like how you just said it, but the outcome is exactly what you said. But what they try to protect is the name, because especially if your child is a public figure or whatnot, they're gonna keep it themselves. But between closed doors, they know.
Yeah,
they know.
Oh, and you know what? By the way, I absolutely agree with what Preach is saying here. I did want to quickly point out the fact that Keke Palmer and her mother, prior to all of this stuff leaking and Keke Palmer's mom coming out and going to the, well, she didn't go to the news. I think she just said a statement. I can't remember what it was exactly. But Keke Palmer and her mother have been almost completely silent about all of this while it was going on. And even now that it's leaked, I think they're being more silent than Darius has been, because Darius was saying some stuff and it felt like trying to get the public on his side. Y'all know how people speak when they get caught. Oh, the truth will come to light. They against me. Y'all know how people talk when they get caught. I don't think Keke ever came out and spoke to a publication or a news organization. I don't think she was making posts on Twitter or anything. If I remember correctly, the only thing she did was that court order. She filed for, filed for custody quietly. And she also quietly filed for a restraining order against him. So she kept her lips sealed. She and her mother kept their lips sealed, except I guess to the police department and or the courthouse. Keep in mind, this whole time she's been silent, she's been suffering, allegedly suffering this abuse, right? And now I think I'm reading reports. Let me put it on screen because this was shocking for me to read today. I don't know if you guys can see that on your screen. But I'm pretty sure when I read through this report, it looks like Keke is trying to settle things amicably. she's trying to settle things with him outside of court. And this, I'm not going to lie, this does disappoint me, but I don't blame victims for how they process things or what path they believe is easiest to take to deal with their trauma. So I completely don't have any smoke with Keke Palmer at all. I wish she would have just went through the court, let the court do what they do, but I understand that can also be traumatizing for victims, and she might just want things to be over. So I'm trying not to harp on that too much. I'm just pointing out how quiet Keke and her mom have been about everything, while Darius, on the other hand, felt so slighted by the fact that Keke Palmer wears an outfit publicly while having a child, since he said, "You a mom though," that he gets on the internet to publicly shame her and drag her. That just screams fragile ego to me. I know Abba and Preach in their original video about that situation said people are just mad. They didn't say people are just mad. What did they say? They said specifically, oh, the men who say stuff like that aren't insecure. It's just the man don't want his partner out there looking trashy or something. I absolutely disagree. It just screams fragile ego to me, especially now that we have more context. And we see that Keke Palmer somehow is able to keep quiet through all of this while he feels so slighted by her wearing an outfit that he has to go out and tell everybody. That just screams fragile ego to me. So, but to go through the report just a little bit, Keke Palmer and ex Darius Jackson agreed to postpone court dates so they can attend mediation. Let me Google mediation quickly so I can make sure I understand what that is. Let me just check real quick. Let me quickly. Mediation is an alternative dispute resolution method where parents meet with a mediator to talk through their disagreements in the hopes of settling. Okay, so it feels like Keke's like, let's talk it out. I'm not sure why. What kind of skit, if I may ask? I don't know, and I didn't see the podcast episode, but what if her mom wasn't condoning anything but standing by Keke's side? No, the podcast episode, I think, is completely unrelated to anything regarding the domestic violence case between Keke and Darius. The podcast is completely unrelated. I think Abba and Preach took issue with the fact that while all of the DV was allegedly going on in the Mother News, she appeared on a podcast episode anyway. Now, I just went through some reasons why abuse victims and their family might keep quiet. Preach just said some people want to save face, so they might have wanted to save Keke's notoriety and not put things on blast outside for the sake of her image. We don't know. So quick jab at him going, I know what you're doing to my daughter. Yeah, no. So the podcast episode completely unrelated, if I remember correctly. Is typically when a family court attorney or mediator tries to settle outside of a judge. Yeah, no, she need to take him to the judge. They need to rip custody away from him, because I feel like, personally, y'all can take this with a grain of salt. I haven't done the research yet. I feel like if a man is going to put hands on his, well, she's not his wife, since he didn't feel like it was worth marrying her before impregnating her. But if a man is putting hands on his woman, I absolutely believe he's gonna put hands on his child. I don't believe you can just turn that part of you on and off. I believe if you don't have the discipline to keep your hands to yourself, that's holistically. So he probably gonna put his hands on his child, and he don't need to be around them. And even if he don't put hands on the child, you putting hands on the woman, so you don't need to be around your child anyway. In my personal opinion, in my humble opinion. But they're trying to mediate things. They're trying to mediate things outside of the court. And Keke, well, they both requested to have the court date rescheduled in order to allow them both time to attend mediation. And the reason I was disappointed, not that I'm disappointed in Keke, because again, victims grieve how they grieve and process things how they process things. The reason I was disappointed is because it feels like Keke Palmer is very paternalistic over Darius. It feels like she's very protective of him. if I remember correctly, during the phone call where we can hear the alleged abuse or the aftermath of the alleged abuse, or Darius is keeping her phone or something. I don't remember the exact details of the phone call, but I do remember Keke was on the phone with her mom talking about babysitting her son. I do remember Darius, like, did he try and allegedly break into her house, come over when he wasn't invited, get into her house, and then try to stay there, insert himself, allegedly abuse her, asking where my son at? I'm not leaving till I see my son, even though there was no agreement for him to pick his son up in the first place. He just felt like he wanted his son, so I'm gonna go break into her house. And I don't know the exact details, but during that phone call, we can hear Keke Palmer's mom yelling at Darius, and Darius is just being himself, a terrible person, in my opinion. And it feels like Keke during that call is still trying to, is still kind of sympathetically talking towards him. She's like, there's something wrong with you. I've been trying to tell you there's something wrong with you. And as I say it out loud, I realize maybe she's doing what she needs to in that moment just to get out of this situation and survive and make it out of her house alive, or get him out of her house alive. So I understand that. But it does feel paternalistic, especially when I'm now looking at this and it's like, okay, instead of going to court, let's try and work this thing out together. In my mind, if somebody is putting their hands on me, I'm not about to work out anything. I do also want to point out there is research. Excuse me, before we get into that, let's play a little more Ab and Preach, because that's who the video is about. So
know a bunch of shit, and that's in the realm of if the person is known, like Keke Palmer. But if we take that the fact that, okay, if we take away the fact that the person is known within the family, there's some shit that happening that some people know, and they will shut the fuck up about that. People in the family groping people, and you can't say shit because I can't say that Uncle Tay does this shit and that shit. No, you can't talk about that shit. I say Haitian, but I know a lot of black folks and a lot of immigrant folks that it's like that in their family too. So if you do, go ahead.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what Preach is saying. I don't disagree. Like I said, I do think people will try to sweep stuff under the rug, and some people believe being abused, for example, is shameful. I learned this recently because I have a friend who was abused last year, and I was like begging her to go to the police, to the hospital, parents, go to do something about it. She was very adamant about refusing, and a big part of the reason she said was because where she's from, I think she's from Ghana, I might be misremembering, but she told me the last time something like that happened to her was when she was a child. And unfortunately, her family shamed her for it, swept it under the rug, defended her abuser, and told her that if it happened again, they would disown her. Mind you, this is when she was a child and an adult was preying on her. So that like shaped her ability to even go to authorities, go to her parents, or even say anything when it happened to her. So I definitely understand what Preach is saying about the idea that some people just will not come out and say anything about this publicly, because I have people in my life who won't even say anything privately, which is unfortunate. So I think that's important to say. We don't know how Keke and her mom were brought up. We don't know if they have reservations or fear about making things public. I would at least give her mom that wiggle room, right? Since they're making this video about her mom sitting on the podcast with him. Or here's another possibility. Now that this news has come out, that Keke Palmer is still trying to mediate with him instead of just settling things in court. Someone in the comments said sometimes the judge suggests that you go to mediation. So maybe it's not a Keke Palmer thing. I'll add that space there. And yeah, they requested a pushback so they could mediate things together. Like, I can't imagine somebody putting their hands around your throat, if this is true, right? If the alleged abuse is true. Well, we saw footage, but anyway, alleged, even though we saw footage. Imagine someone putting their hands around their throat and choking you, which according to the Family Justice Center Alliance, as well as several other sources, choking tends to be the final step an abuser takes before unaliving the woman, right? So imagine after experiencing all this, Keke is still, in my mind, if this is something that Keke and Darius are mediating themselves and not something that the court appointed, I would hope the court wouldn't appoint mediation if there is alleged abuse with proof that they've submitted to the court. I would hope the court doesn't suggest mediation. maybe that's a Themis question, because I would be very confused about that. I would be very confused about why the court would suggest that. So in my mind, this has to be a thing that Keke and Darius have talked about themselves and not through the court. Because if choking is the final step an abuser takes before unaliving a woman, and he's already taken that step allegedly, I don't know why the court would be like, well, y'all get together and figure it out. I have no idea why. I wouldn't have them talking at all if I were a judge. But I'm also not a judge or a legal expert, so there could be reasons for that I just don't know. But if it is Keke Palmer and not the court, it feels like she is still giving him chances and trying to protect him from the system in a way. So that makes me feel like at the time of the podcast recording that Abba and Preach are responding to, which, mind you, might not have even been recorded at the same time that it was released, and might not have been released at the time that something was going on. Don't know, can check. But if it was, the idea that Keke and her mom are still trying to protect that man at that point, even if he's being foul towards them, it is not far-fetched to me. It is not far-fetched to me at all, especially when we consider the fact that I remember a video with Keke Palmer. I'm trying not to talk too much because I don't want this video to last forever, but I'm trying to yep, here it is. I found it. There was a video of Keke Palmer when she was talking to the National Guard and her support for Black Lives Matter. And maybe this is a stretch, but I do feel like Keke Palmer has publicly supported Black Lives Matter in the past. So I do think that not the organization, just the movement, right? So not the actual Black Lives Matter organization, just the sentiment and ideas around it. But I do feel like she does publicly support Black Lives Matter. So it could be, and again, maybe this is a stretch, grain of salt, that she is, this is what I have on screen is just her protesting with some other Black Lives Matter people. But it could be that, like most of Black Lives Matter, the movement, what's the best way to say this without being inflammatory? Well, let me just put this article on screen and we can read from there. The Black Lives Matter movement does not exist without Black women. This is an article from 2020 by Tagwa Shamet. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. And basically, it pretty much, the summary is that she's discussing the idea that not only does Black Lives Matter as a movement not exist without Black women, because they're the overwhelming support and backbone of it, but the movement itself has found itself focused on the injustices and voices of Black men and tends to completely disregard Black women, which we've talked about before, in the idea that an entirely separate movement, Say Her Name, had to be created for people like Breonna Taylor and Sandra Bland, who don't really get a lot of attention from something like Black Lives Matter. So maybe this is a stretch of a theory. Actually, it absolutely is a stretch of a theory. But if Keke Palmer is a person who supports Black Lives Matter in the past, and probably still currently, and Black Lives Matter as a movement is something that tends to overly focus on Black men while tending to not have any type of focus at all on Black women, it's not far-fetched to me the idea that Keke might be in her protect Black men energy even after this man is like completely disregarding her safety and even threatening her life. The idea that she's still being sympathetic towards him is not lost on me. It's not far-fetched to me. So yeah, that was a big stretch, but I stretched it. So be sure to like the video while you're here. It helps the algorithm. Black male identified. I don't know if I would say that because I don't know Keke Palmer's beliefs. That's why I say it's a bit of a stretch. I think it's a bit of a stretch. So, grain of salt.
I know a lot of Black folks and a lot of immigrant folks that it's like that in their family. That is like that. And the parents gonna sit here and be like, and go over everything and stuff and not gonna air the thing out. She's not sitting, it's not like the mom is sitting with the dude that she don't like and they're discussing. Is that the man right next to her?
Yeah.
I need a minute.
Yeah, the dude who beat her daughter is sitting right beside her on this podcast.
And you know what? I still think it's possible in a
I actually agree, because you have to imagine, right? When you're in the cycle and people are getting beat, right? You have to imagine it's an ebb and flow thing. It's bad one moment, then it's great one moment. I don't know what this kind of dynamic is like, but I've definitely been dynamics where it's like roller coastery. So I could imagine, she's like, okay, things are better now, mom. And we patch things up. So the mom may come on the podcast thinking things are hunky-dory. Me personally, I can take me out of it because I'm not them. I could never be that man sitting on that podcast right there if I'd done that to her daughter, because I would feel shame for so long. I couldn't even look at her until I felt like I really made amends.
Okay, but would
you be on a podcast talking about relationships and settling? Like, I'd be like, consider what I did. I can't. I feel guilt.
Yeah, but
that's why I take myself out of it. That's my whole point.
Yeah.
Looking at this situation, these are completely removed people who may not feel any of those things. I'm looking at them like, I don't know how you could be on that podcast. If it was me, I feel, but they're not me. So who cares, right? I'm looking at this mom, and it's like, if I'm the parent, that could never be me either. You put hands on my child, man or woman, yo, I don't want to be seen in public with you. Y'all better get some counseling. If you come into Christmas, y'all better not talk to me. I won't be mean if y'all fixing your shit. But if it's not being fixed, don't even think about coming through my fucking door. Hey, listen, I'm sorry. That's just not me. I can't do it. And if
wait, this confused me for a second. I actually thought it was going in a good direction for a moment, but then it feels like it steps back into the weird framing. Again, I feel like a lot of important conversations can be had here, but the perspective of if I was the parent of the abuse victim is a little weird to me. I don't quite understand it. I'm not sure, but maybe Abba and Preach have kids. I don't know for sure, but I couldn't understand someone with kids being like, if that was my daughter, I would do X, Y, or Z. Or I've definitely heard people say, if that was my daughter, I would mess him up. So I've definitely heard that. But then again, Abba and Preach don't even seem to be saying that. Maybe I misheard him, but it sounds like he said, oh, if you're beating my daughter, I don't want to be around you at all. Y'all figure that out. Don't bring it around me. That feels weird. That feels like a weird, yeah, wait, what? Yes, click that like and share. Thank you. That feels like a weird position, but I also don't have kids. So maybe there's understanding I'm not getting from this. I don't know. I think that just confused me. Also, my phone is vibrating and going off, and that like breaks my train of thought. Yeah, my phone's going off, and that breaks my train of thought. But it's fine. Where was I? Yeah, I could have misheard him, but it sounds like he's like, if you beating my daughter, I don't want to be around you. Y'all figure it out yourselves. I'm like, that's weird to me, because I'm like, okay, let me call the police, law enforcement. Let me call my daughter, talk to her, make sure she's safe. Let me come over, physically check on things, defend my daughter if I need to. But it feels like he was like, just don't bring that around me, which feels weird to me, because now you're further isolating your daughter with the abuser. So I hope I'm just misunderstanding it. Maybe that's just what I think I heard, but I could be wrong. We can go back and rewatch at the end.
I'm the one getting beat. Yo, forget a podcast. Yo, we talking restraining orders. We talking about you out the door, everything. But again, I'm saying this on the outside looking in, so who really cares?
But that's the thing in a family, when there's something that everybody knows and people don't say it. You know something, a series of meme called Thanksgiving clapbacks? You know that?
No.
Those clapbacks are basically depicting that everybody in the family is gathering at Thanksgiving, and someone has the audacity to tell you some shit, but they shit is not proper. Sort like the auntie's gonna be like, I wasn't drinking when I was 16. You can't drink when you're pregnant. Because everybody knows that she's drinking while she's pregnant. Yeah. Nobody's saying shit because it's kind of a secret. Yeah. And that's in the realm that
me was trying to say, basically, like, girl, you were pregnant at 16.
No, you can't drink when you're pregnant. That means that she was drinking when she was pregnant.
No, that's not what that means. I wasn't drinking when I was 16. You can't drink when you're pregnant.
Because she's pregnant and drinking.
No, because she was pregnant at 16
and drinking.
No, that's why she couldn't drink, because she was pregnant at 16. You understand?
I see what you're saying.
So the girl, so the aunt is like, yo, why are 16-year-olds drinking? It's like, oh, ma, don't worry about it. The reason why you wasn't drinking at 16 is because you was too busy being pregnant.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Same point.
Oh yeah, same point.
Same point. Yeah. The aunties, see, your acne is coming back, unlike your husband. Everybody knows some shit, but you have the.
It's because she had a husband at 16. Okay, now I'm just trolling.
I just wanted to point out that Abba and Preach's memes are terrible, and I spoil y'all with good memes, and y'all came in here and dragged me, even though I gave y'all good memes at the beginning of this stream. Look at what you could have. You're welcome.
I know you're trolling, but you know what I mean?
I get you,
So
yeah.
in the family dynamic, it's like that. And now you add on top of that the layer that Keke is known. So at the podcast, I'm gonna shut the fuck up and put my lips about some shit I know. But I'll be like, you know what? It's my daughter, and I'm not gonna do you like that because I love you. And yes, in that case, the point and the intention is not to surpass your security over your over the silence and everything and stuff.
I think,
but the outcome is that.
I think this is actually the craziest part of this story.
I appreciate Preacher's take here, like the idea that, you know what, that this is something that people do frequently. They're joking about the memes and stuff. Glad I missed the memes. Anyway, I'm not about to let y'all drag me. But I do appreciate that perspective. Like maybe she's like, okay, this is some terrible stuff, but like most people, we're sweeping it under the rug or something, blah, blah, blah.
Mom got on a podcast with the person who was her daughter, and they all act like everything's cordial. And it really speaks to how, like, society speaking, within families, like a lot of this stuff is well known to happen, and just people go like,
but sometimes it's also,
you know,
yeah, but sometimes
I just say for me and any family I would foster, I could never. But I understand other families.
We don't know what the dynamic is, and also the.
Oh wait, because I do think this is important. Abba, I'm pretty sure it's Abba. I hope the light skinned one on the right. Abba's like, for me, I couldn't be sitting across from no abuser. It couldn't be me. I wouldn't be in the same room with no abuser. So this is Abba and Preach's video they have with Kevin Samuels. Let me see what it's called. A&P with Kevin Samuels. Is there a problem with modern women and men? Even though they keep saying I wouldn't be sitting across the table from an abuser, they definitely do sit up here with Kevin Samuels for 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 40 seconds and have an entire discussion with him. And seem to share camaraderie with him and community with him. Now, if you guys don't know who Kevin Samuels is, I do have a clip. For you guys. Have you guys ever heard of the KA show? Have you guys ever heard of her? Ever heard of that? Anywho, hold up. Why did I find my co-host on IdGab in a panel with Kevin Samuels talking about some mess? Why did I find my co-host on IdGab in a conversation with Kevin Samuels? I know Kay has been online for a lot longer than I have, and she's been doing other podcasts and shows and stuff. Assaulting your grandson's father isn't a go-to, though. Dude did threaten to file charges against her mom for threats. Oh, yeah, he did. So she was under threat, too. I don't know why. Well, we'll get to it, but I feel like Abba and Preach purposefully leave out context so that they can frame their videos in a certain way. And those videos tend to be framed in a way where the women tends to take the blame, and the women tends to be the one to get the critique, and the women tends to be the one who gets dragged instead of the man, even in a situation like this where the man is the one literally putting his hands on people, allegedly. Their focus was the women. So I do think that's weird. But let's look at my co-host and what she and Kevin Samuels were talking about. She wasn't talking to him directly. He just made an appearance on. And I'm just doing this so you guys can know who Kevin Samuels is in case you don't.
The women today don't fear what Sean Connery told Barbara Walters. There are times when the best course of action is to slap a woman. That's what Sean Connery said. It's still on YouTube right now. Go look at it. And Barbara Walters was like, thought he was going to recant his statement, and he doubled down. He said, let me explain what I mean. He's like, women have a way of not knowing how to let things go. You can give up the argument. You can let it go. They can know they've won. There's nothing else to be gained, and they will continue to push and push and push. And he said, at that point, once you've exhausted all other options, then a slap becomes a good option. And you only have to do it once. Shahrazad Ali tried to say that stuff, and it set the black community on fire. Why is this? Because between the men on this platform right now,
Kay is a whole baddie. Absolutely. Kay is a whole baddie out here. It won't let me zoom in, but if I could, I would zoom in on Kay, because ain't nobody else on that panel giving. Ain't nobody else on that panel giving. Chica Gorilla, though, no comment. Well, no comment. I'm with you. No comment. So I just wanted to like give some quick reference for who Kevin Samuels is. Why I started playing again in the background. He has some interesting takes, such as domestic violence towards women, which he tidies up by calling it domestic discipline. He says should be allowed so that men can keep their woman in check. He tends to refer to women over 35 and single mothers as insulting terms such as used goods or pump and dumps or leftover. He also says that single moms, if you're dating a man and your child says that that man assaulted them and preyed on them, you should believe the man and side with the man, not the child, because children lie, which is statistically untrue. But even like without data, just the idea that a 4-year-old is somehow is able to conceptualize the idea of I'm going to manipulate my mother and turn her against this 40-year-old man, and the child is actually the predator who's trying to take down an innocent man is wild to me as a concept, even without looking into the research. But with the research, no, children don't lie. So those are some of Kevin Samuels' most interesting ideas. I don't know if when Abba and Preach say they wouldn't be sitting across the table from someone who's an abuser, I don't know if they're only considering like physical abuse. I don't know if they think Kevin Samuels' message and what he peddles to men is just like not a problem, and it's okay to sit across and have a conversation with someone like that for 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 40 seconds. But I definitely feel like if they'll sit down and have a conversation with Kevin Samuels, they'll probably will sit down with an abuser and talk to them too. So I don't know where that's coming from. Maybe they do draw a line. Maybe their line is, okay, if he endorses abuse and says we should all do that to our wives, it's okay to sit down and have a conversation with them, but not if he actually physically does it. So maybe that's the line they draw. I'm not here to judge anyone's line and where they draw it, but I do think it's a little weird. They say they would never be caught sitting across from someone who does that when they have a whole 2 hour, 17-minute long and 40-second long conversation with Kevin Samuels where they are just have camaraderie and community with him. So I thought that was interesting, but we can continue.
The fact that they want to protect their child, but they don't want to seem like the overbearing parent that always talks shit or always into the child. So sometimes they take a step back when they shouldn't take a step back.
I agree. I think when there's fights between couples, I agree. The beating your child is different.
100%. But you don't know what Keke telling her mom. No, it's fine. It's fine.
I do know, because the mom already said she'd been knowing for a year that this man had been beating her. It's not like they don't know. I'm not going off rumors. It came out of the mom's own mouth that she confronted the brother about the fact that he beats her. Okay? So she knew. I can understand parents not wanting to be involved. It's your child. Your child's being physically hurt.
She did say
That's
that.
your job at any age to be involved.
I forgot she said that, but she did say that.
Yes. So to be clear, that is something that happened. That is a bizarre environment to me.
100%.
Look, I know her man is rich and this and that, and they've been through a lot and bringing up all their past. And my opinion about that is, like, at the end of the day, if you marry somebody, aren't you guys supposed to be a partnership? And here we are in a generation where everybody's like, no gender rules. But as soon as it gets down to paying something, it's like, he better pay for that. Like, why? I need us to make up our mind. I don't know. What do you guys think?
To me, it just seems like,
So I don't care about what Keke, her mom, and this man are talking about in this podcast. I'm only interested in Abba and Preach's reaction to it. But I do feel like it's weird whenever people talk about the hypocrisy around gender roles. They always say something like, oh, y'all want gender roles, but soon as it's time to pay half the bills, y'all want the man to do this. That feels statistically untrue. What actually seems to happen when people are being hypocritical about rejecting gender roles is that the woman is paying half of the bills, but the man still doesn't like do anything as far as childcare or domestic labor, chores, cooking and cleaning and such like that. So I feel like it's weird how people tend to frame that conversation, but that's not what we're here to talk about today.
You start to limit yourself when it comes to that, just thinking at that moment in time as well. It's just like, what if you come across somebody that had like that does everything, but maybe he wants to do 50-50, or you make more than him, but it's just like, well, you're going to shut that down because
I think a lot of people will shut that down.
You know what's good? When you find out somebody that loves you, that respects you, that makes you feel good, that enhances your life. Screw the money.
That's
you know
how
what
I
I
feel.
mean?
I'm not gonna find the rest.
Wait, I missed what he said. Let me see something real quick.
Feel good.
People will shut that.
maybe he wants to do as well. It's just,
What do you guys think?
to me, it just seems like, you start to limit yourself when it comes to that, just thinking at that moment in time as well. It's just like, what if you come across somebody that had like that does everything, but he want maybe he wants to do 50-50, or you make more than him, but it's just like, well, you're going to shut that down because
I think a lot of people will shut that.
Oh, this takes a completely different context to me now that we know that he was living in her house and he's falling on hard. Excuse me. He's not finding acting roles like that, and their income disparity is extremely wide. I think if I remember what I looked up last time, I think she makes like 20 times what he makes. So it takes a different context. It takes a different context now to hear him in that conversation talking about what if he wants to but can't.
You know what's good? When you find up somebody that loves you, that respects you, that makes you feel good, that enhances your life. Screw the money.
That's
you know
how
what
I feel.
mean?
I'm not gonna find the rest of this podcast, but I'm actually curious from your guys' perspective.
I do actually find it interesting that they're like, oh, if you find a nice guy, who cares if he has money? I care. I don't think that's working out too well for people. They seem nice but have no money. Well, let me try it. I don't think you should try it.
How would you guys react in this kind of scenario? I want you guys to think of all three perspectives. Let's say it's your family member who's in that relationship. Would you guys be on the podcast?
Are Abba and Preach a couple? Yes, they actually are a couple. A couple of goofballs.
Let's say you like doing podcasts and you're fine with it, okay? Hypothetical. Would you guys be okay with doing the podcast and sitting beside the man who hurt your sibling, your daughter, or whatever it might be?
Bro.
Why wouldn't you? Why would I want to see comments below explaining some of this shit for you? What if you guys are the ones who did the beating? How would you guys react? I just, this is so crazy to me.
It's irrelevant, but for the exercise, let's do it. Because none of us are those people, and none of us went through what they went through. And maybe we don't have the illness that they have, mental health. We don't have the illness that they have or the issue that they have to do that. But yes, for the exercise, let's do that. Yeah. Let's see what people think out there and how would they feel. Because
here's my thing. You made it.
Petty, this is why your hairline is shuffling back. You know what? I've earned that. I'll take it. It's fine.
Thanksgiving me. There's a lot of people who are living that scenario right now.
1,000%.
They know people getting beaten. They sit around
and they sit around and
I want to hear from them.
If I know,
I can't sit at the table with somebody I know beating somebody else at the table. If that's me.
Abba say he can't sit at the table with somebody who he knows is, well, maybe if he don't know, but they just imply that that's something they're okay with, maybe he's fine with it. Because he definitely sat across that table for conversarials for 2.5 hours. He definitely sat across that table. Maybe he meant like a physical table, like actually in person. Don't know. Where's that comment? Stats wise, it won't work out for the women. Yeah, so what Abba and Preach actually could have talked about is the fact that, let me see this. I'm pretty sure I looked up research that showed when women are the breadwinners in relationships, they are more likely to be the recipient of DV and emotional abuse from their male partner, because the man feels emasculated because he can't his wife is out earning him and doing better than he is. This doesn't tend to happen when the woman is being out earned by the man, only when the man is being out earned by the woman. Let me see. This is from Springer League. Female breadwinning in domestic abuse. This is from Australia. I'll look in the background as the video plays to see if I can find anything from America or Canada or like the West. Wait, is Australia considered the West? I don't think so. So I'll see if I can find anything from the US, since that's where I am. I think that's where you all are, except our one audience member in Korea or wherever. But let's see. This paper uses high quality population-wide survey data and measures domestic violence derived from comprehensive questions on partner behavior. We show that when women earn more than their male partners, quote unquote, female breadwinning, they are 33% more likely to experience domestic violence and 20% more likely to experience emotional abuse. Female breadwinning does not influence partner abuse experienced by men, either physical or emotional. So that's interesting. Maybe we can get into that later into the stream or on a different stream that we can make about that. But there is research to indicate that if women are partnering with someone who they out earn, Unlike what Keke, her mom, and Darius were saying on that podcast, unlike what people are saying about dating the bus driver, or people saying, oh, your standards are too high, why can't you just settle? No, settling definitely comes with physical consequences and emotional consequences as well, empirically. So yeah, I don't know why people keep saying to date down, for women at least. For men, it doesn't seem to change the outcome, but for women specifically, it very much does come with a empirically proven risk.
Me. Now, I'm also not somebody who's invited to a lot of family dinners. I'm okay with that. I sleep well at night. I'm sorry. I say this all the time. Like my family, you know, there's been a lot of theft. There's been a lot of shenanigans in the background. I won't get too deep into it. I don't talk to certain uncles and aunts and cousins for that reason. And I'm okay with that. I think I sleep better because of it. And I'm not saying my choice is the right one. I'm saying it's right for me, which is.
Oh, and I want to apology because I think I misunderstood what Abba said. He said he doesn't sit with people who have abused someone. So if he's sitting with Kevin Samuels, who endorsed abuse publicly, it's technically different.
Different. You know, my mom sometimes she come to me with family drama. I'm like, I don't want to hear about it. I already cut these people out of my life. I don't care what they do. I never want to know what they do. I don't even want to know these people exist anymore. As far as I'm concerned, they dead to me. Okay, you come to hurt me. I'm not trying to do a welfare check afterwards. You want to know? Call the police, call mental health, call the firefighters. They check it in on your ass because it's not me. I'm not coming with no bucket of water. I ain't coming with no notepad. Find out what your problem is, and I ain't coming with no bank check to help nothing. That's not my family no more. Somebody else's problem. I don't want to have any updates. I don't want to know where they died, how they died, who did it, what did it. Not my business. But that's what works for me. That's what I had to do for me to protect myself. Okay. I want to know from you guys' perspective. I don't say it's wrong. I want to know like that mindset. So,
is he talking about the abuser or the person who's being abused, or both? When he says that's not my problem, y'all call the fire department and the police. Hopefully he's talking about the abuser. And although I understand not feeling a type of way about the abuser and not caring about what happens to them, I would at least, if I know there's abuse going on, I would at least call the authority or do something. I would at least do a wellness check or something for the sake of the person who's being abused. But it's not in everybody. He says he doesn't do that for his mental health. So
I want to tell you how petty I am. I got a situation like that in my family.
Yeah,
so my family members are dead to me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Metaphorically.
They dead to me. You can say metaphorically, but I'm gonna tell you. And you decide how metaphorically it is. Okay. And I told my mom that, but she's kind of a little bit of stubborn because she really wants the connection and people to connect and be okay with it. So she comes to me, is like, "Oh, you're gonna go to the such and such birthday?" And I answer, "Ain't that nigga dead?"
You know what's so funny? His timing was perfect because as he said, "Ain't that nigga?" Then I was looking to the camera to figure it out too. Like, That's a beautiful play.
Oh, such and such and such. Are you gonna go to the party? Party of what? Then that nigga dead. That nigga died a couple of years ago, and she's like, "Stop it." That nigga dead.
I don't know.
He did.
She also accuses him of hitting me in front of our son.
I mean, we'll see. I guess she would have to go to court for that or whatever. She has a restraining order. She has the footage to back it up. But then again, like I said, I wasn't there. So, no, I don't have much to say about that.
Okay, so when a woman getting beat, you got nothing to say?
Well, yeah, it's bad. It is bad.
That's it? That's all? Well, when a man something happens, you got 10 minutes worth of video. When it's a woman, though, you got nothing to say?
She's doing what she's supposed to do, yeah. Like, well, I'm going to state the obvious? I'm going to state the obvious. Yeah.
Yes, state the obvious. Please, yes, state the obvious. I know they're joking, but yes, please state the obvious. When you have a woman who's allegedly being abused, in the entire 20-minute video that you make, the entire conversation is entirely about the woman and what she did wrong. The woman's mother and what the woman's mother did wrong. You are prioritizing the wrong thing in this conversation, in my opinion. If I'm a woman and I have been abused and all I see when I come online is people routinely going after the woman, the victim, for nearly the entire duration of a 20-minute video, only pausing for less than a second to say, "Oh yeah, the man's bad too." No comment, just the man's bad. Anyway, back to this woman. How dare she sit across from an abuse? Like, the abuser's in the room with us and you're like, have nothing to say about it at all. That feels weird to me. You see 3 people in a room, one person's an abuser, you go after the women. That feels so weird to me. So when your entire 20-minute video, minus, less than 1 second pause to say, oh yeah, the man's bad too, is about the women, specifically the woman's mother, in my opinion, you remove the accountability from the man in this conversation and you place it all on the woman, who in this situation is the victim. And I know that Abba was saying this to make fun of people who say that, including me. But yes, when you have a 20-minute long video about an abuse victim and her alleged abuser, and 19 minutes and 57 seconds are critiquing the victim's actions, that is concerning to me. And I think it makes me better understand why conversations around accountability tend to be skewed towards women and against women, even when they're the victim in the conversation, right? I think this better helps me understand like the pregnancy conversations where a man will get a girl pregnant and leave her. And instead of us as a society calling out the man for his bad behavior, we instead tell the woman, well, you should have picked better. You should have closed your legs. If you guys remember, we watched a Money Talks on the One Thing About It podcast, I think last week or the week before. And she was having a conversation about who is responsible for pregnancy. And Amani, I think, if I remember correctly, y'all have to go back and watch because I don't remember. It was like a 2-hour or 3-hour long episode, so I don't remember everything they said verbatim. But I think she said something like, oh, both the man and the woman have to take accountability, for using protection or abstaining, using emergency contraceptive, etc. She says not only do women have the option of birth control and contraceptive, but men do as well in the form of condoms, vasectomy, and now new experimental birth control is out. But I don't know the research on that, but condoms and vasectomy. The man who was sitting across from her was saying, oh no, it's not mutual accountability. It's not the man and the woman's fault she got pregnant. It's the woman's fault for letting me sleep with her. It's the woman's fault. If I take the condom off, it's her fault because she should have been turning the lights on periodically to make sure the condom was still on. Or she should have told me to wear protection. She should, like, the entire conversation where they're discussing a man and a woman having intercourse, he's like, okay, but it's the woman's fault, it's the woman's fault, it's the woman's fault, as if the man has no agency, as if he has no responsibility. And when you remove that man's agency and his responsibility, in my opinion, you're taking away his accountability and you're blaming the woman unfairly. So yeah, the man who was sitting across from her, the up-and-coming Tubi star, he was saying it's not mutual accountability, it's entirely the woman's fault. And I scratched my head because I was wondering, how is it that in conversations where women are at the most 50% responsible, right? We can say, okay, they're sleeping together, wondering who's responsible for the baby, half and half. You both lay it down together. Or in some conversations, the woman isn't responsible at all, like 0%, like Keke in this case, right? Who is not responsible for her abuser's actions, or Keke's mom, who is not responsible for Keke's abuser's actions. Somehow the women got the backlash in Abba and Preach's video and not the abuser. So when I think about how large Abba and Preach are and how big their audience is and how audiences on channels like this, I think tend to be young men, something like 18 to 28, 18 to 32, something like that. It begins to make sense to me how an influence might be created in the way men engage in discourse around topics where women are victimized. And instead of talking about the person who's perpetrating that violence or who's victimizing the women, they instead go after the women. And they're like, yeah, what about her though? So it's just confusing to me, the framing of their conversation. It's confusing to me. They were silent for everything except speaking up to drag the mother. That's confusing to me. Let's continue.
And it's bad that he does. Of course, it's bad that he does that. What do you have to say?
I just think it's crazy that when it came to her being dancing with Usher, there was a full-on video.
Yeah.
But now it's her getting beat by the same man who had a problem, and now.
But it is crazy. Everybody agrees. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to prove. Well, my point is that it's bad, people.
Now this makes me upset. It feels like they're playing in my face. It feels like they are playing in my face. Yes, you do have a 16 minutes of commentary of I don't know why Keke shouldn't have worn a dress outside or something. But you have nothing to say about the abuser. Like, you can't fathom anything to say, nothing at all, no commentary at all. You don't want to talk about the fact that men who make less than their partner tend to be more abusive because they feel like their masculinity is threatened. You don't want to talk about the fact that even now, after being choked, which is the last step of abuse before being killed, Keke Palmer is seemingly still trying to protect this man. No, 16 minutes to talk about her mom, but when it comes to the alleged abuser, it's like, oh, what is there to even talk about? That's so disappointing. That's so disappointing. I expected more, and I'll stop expecting more because I feel like that's just going to lead to disappointment. So I'll stop expecting more. I'm going to post the link because I feel like completely done with this video. I also don't like the fact that they're saying we don't need to talk about it. Everybody already knows that. We don't need to. Everybody already knows that beating women is bad. Kevin Samuels don't know that beating women is bad. Kevin Samuels, the man you broke bread with on a stream for 2 hours and 17 minutes and 40 seconds, is not clear on it. It is not clear at all. He thinks it's okay to abuse your woman if she gets out of line, according to his own words. That is a problem, in my opinion. So yes, you still do need to talk about men abusing women and why it's bad and how to avoid it and why we should avoid it. Because even though you might think we are completely past that conversation, men don't think we are. Because Kevin Samuels had a whole platform of nearly 2 million subscribers. Again, mostly men 18 to 32 or something like that. And he up here talking about we need to beat our woman to keep her in line. That feels lazy to me.
It's like stating the obvious. The thing about her dancing with Usher was one thing because people were very one-sided about a thing. But I'm pretty sure that everybody's on the same page. Don't beat on people. Fuck are you talking about? You're crazy.
I'm crazy?
You're fucking crazy.
I think you're crazy.
You're starting
I think it's crazy that you got so much energy for petty shit. But okay.
You tried.
Sorry.
I know they find it funny, but I don't. I don't police people's humor, though. Laugh at what you want to laugh at. I'm not about to sit here and police everything that everybody finds funny. But that's upsetting. The idea that they spend a lot of time talking about Keke Palmer wearing a dress as a mom, and the fact that they spend a lot of time talking about Keke Palmer's mom, but they don't actually spend any time at all talking about the abuser or going into that with any meaningful discussion. And that's something they find funny is, I mean, it's upsetting to me, but I'm not going to police people's humor. It's not for me to decide what people find funny and what people don't find funny. So I won't spend much time on that.
You really look like you had a good stretch today. You sleep good? You look like you slept good. You sound like you got the energy.
I can reach.
Yeah, I see that. That's a reach. That's a whole lot of reach. Well, I just think it's surprising. Shut the fuck up with shut the fuck up with that shit. That's bogus ass fucking shit. Of course it is. Like it's bad.
When everyone sent us this story, I kind of had the same reaction. I was like, oh, they're sending his ass to jail. Like, I don't
yeah, send this motherfucker to jail.
Man did a crime. I guess some people felt some type of way because we said a man feeling some type of way about his girlfriend dancing with Usher, even if she's a performer, is like he's entitled to feel like he doesn't want that in his relationship.
Oh, by the way, Darius didn't say he felt a type of way about his girlfriend dancing with Usher. He specifically said he didn't like the outfit she was wearing and shamed her for being a mom and wearing something like that. If he had said, I don't like the idea of my partner dancing on another man, I feel like that's inappropriate, I might have even agreed with him. But he didn't say that. He said, I still would have, by the way, think that's something you should handle privately. But he didn't say that. He said, you a mom, though, why you wearing a dress? So I don't know why they're putting words in Darius's mouth that he didn't say. Maybe I missed something, but I don't think I wouldn't be up here still manning Darius's argument.
No. Those two things are not the same. Like, no, there's a middle ground between that and being super controlling.
You're dumb,
right? So for me, I don't think those two incidents are linked. I think if he has behaviors like that, and also didn't like the fact that he was out there online talking all this mess. If you had an issue with her doing that stuff with Usher, she could just keep it offline. Talk to her when you see her. You're not dating the internet. You don't go down Twitter shaming her doing that stuff. I think if he has behaviors like that, and also didn't like the fact that he was out there online. So for me, I don't think those two incidents are linked. I think if he has behaviors like that, and also didn't like the fact that he was out there online. So for me, I don't think those two incidents are linked. I think if he has behaviors like that, and also didn't like the fact that he was out.
Pause. He don't think that somebody trying to control what his partner wearing and behind the scenes being controlling and manipulative are linked at all. Come on now.
Out there online talking all this mess. If you had an issue with her doing that stuff with Usher, she could just keep it offline. Talk to her when you see her. You're not dating the internet. You don't go down Twitter shaming her, and she got to handle with you in private. These images to me look really bizarre. I don't think there's a way you can really describe it. Because here's the thing: some people might say, "Well, but you don't know the full story. What if the full images come out and they show that she was hitting on him too?" I'm gonna say this: whether it's her hitting on him or him hitting on her, okay, none of this should ever be happening in a relationship. There is no scenario where you can describe to me where you have your hands around your partner's neck over the couch and she's like upside down. That should never be a normal situation in any relationship, irrespective of how you two treat each other. So they need to be separated. So I got no problem with the restraining order, and then let the investigation unfold as it should. Okay, but I don't like. It looks terrible. You got her on the floor at the bottom of the stairs, him walking away shirtless. Yeah. My man definitely looks hella guilty.
It don't look good.
It don't look good. So, I hope that for the child's sake specifically, that this thing gets resolved, and for both parties, that they go their separate ways so that they can figure this shit out. And if somebody's in the wrong, they go to jail for let the investigation unfold.
It's pretty simple here. There's no like.
Well, at least they dedicated 5% of the video about the abuser to actually talking about the abuse instead of Keke's mom. At least they dedicated that much, that teensy little bit at the end. Really, they don't have the range for the discussion. So here's the thing. I actually do think they have the range for the discussion. They just choose not to. Because I've seen them periodically on Destiny's channel talk about things very, very, very in depth. So I do think that they have the range. They just choose not to, which, to be fair, it's not like they're a channel who does video essays, and like maybe it's unfair to ask them to go and do 50 hours of research and make 40-minute long video essays if they're just a reaction channel. I think they're a reaction channel or commentary or whatever. It's just, even in your video, without doing research, you don't have to like do research to frame your video a certain way, particularly a video about an abuser and his victims. Allegedly, maybe you could frame it to where the abuser is like the actual focus of the video and not like a footnote at the end of the video where we talk about women and what they did wrong in this situation.
Gray area, gray zone.
That is a common thing that I've been hearing.
Oh yes, Sudoku. I haven't played that game in a while. Yes, they absolutely do find the range when a woman is the abuser or liar. I did peep a video or two that they made on women doing something bad. I think they're talking about somebody named Pokimane. Don't know her, never heard of her. As well as like, I've looked at a couple of their videos where they discuss women's bad behavior or behavior that they perceive as bad in women. And they go really, really in depth on that. They go really, really in depth. They make it the whole focus. They don't sit up here and say, well, we know that's bad. There's no need to talk about it. We can just speed past it and talk about the man instead. They don't do that. It's the framing of their videos is very specific. It's very, very specific. So I do agree with that.
About like people who are controlling, threatening themselves,
yes,
to keep the other person in the whole dynamic. Yep. Like that is a twisted thing.
Yep, it is. But I've heard that numerous times.
Oh, yeah.
Person wants to have.
If you leave me, I don't know what I'll do to myself. It's like, whoa, you trying to make me feel? And I'll be honest with y'all. I'm gonna say something that's fucked up. 100% you should walk away at that moment. 150, 75, 2,000% you should walk away at that moment. Because the moment you give into that shit for the first time, that is going to become a power play every single time.
I don't disagree.
It sounds crazy to say.
I don't disagree. I'm not saying you should encourage it. Like, yeah, go ahead, do it. Because then that's become, you're walking the line of a crime right here. But you should Craig David that shit and walk away.
Yep.
From all the trouble in your life.
Yep.
That 100%. Mm-hmm.
If somebody threaten to unalive themselves, I don't give advice, but if somebody threatens to unalive themselves, call the authorities. Send a wellness check over for them, because I believe they're a danger to themselves and there might be a danger to you. If you really care about them, call the authorities. And if you care about your own life, call the authorities and let them know this person has threatened to unalive themselves. If I leave them, I'm worried about their well-being. Because people are human. The idea that Keke might be abused by someone allegedly and still care for him and want him not to hurt himself, even though he's being abusive, is understandable to me, because people are human and have feelings. And sometimes we have feelings for people we shouldn't. So if you really care about someone who says something, call the police and have the police come out and help them, or mental health services or something. I think that's probably the best thing for you. That's probably the best thing for them. It's also above your pay grade. I assume most of y'all are not mental health therapists. So that's above your pay grade. And getting the authorities or mental health professionals involved might be more beneficial than you trying to handle it yourself. So I at least agree with them there. You shouldn't be out here. If somebody is like, I'm about to do it, you shouldn't be out here like, no, wait, I'll stay. Don't do it. Call the police or somebody. So that was Abba and Preach, everybody. How do we all feel? Litmus test. Let me Google litmus test so I can see if I'm using that correctly. Litmus test. Are you ready for the litmus test? Are you ready for the litmus test? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. Litmus, not nuss. It ain't no way. It's no way. Litmus test. A test for acidity or alkalinity using litmus. It ain't no way. There is no way. Excuse me? That is not what a litmus test is. Am I tripping? Have I been using this incorrectly? Oh, here's the other definition. A crucial and revealing test in which there is one decisive factor. That still doesn't feel like exactly what I'm saying. Underwhelmed. Litmus. So let's test for acidity. Let's do the litmus test. Do you guys feel acidic or alkaline? Let me make a poll. Put a 1 for acidic, put a 2 for alkaline. There's more, by the way, but it's not a lot more. So we're about to get out of here soon. There, I put a poll in the chat so you guys can vote on that. So, but y'all said y'all feel underwhelmed. Ain't nobody hit that link to come up and give their thoughts, so I can go on to the next portion. The next portion is very short because I haven't fully fleshed it out yet. I'm using Abba and Preaching their channel as a case study. I downloaded like a lot of their videos last night, a lot more than I would have liked to. But I downloaded them and I'm going to go through them so that I can either do a video or a live stream with you guys. And we can do a case study where hopefully we look at some data that is real and that is true. And we, yes, the link was for people to click and join if they had like a desire to give their opinion on anything we talked about today, but you don't have to. But I wanted to hopefully look at real data that talks about the way men have discourse about women online. If you guys remember, a few days ago, we did a stream on International Men's Day where we discovered that men don't actually care about International Men's Day. They only care about talking about it when it's International Women's Day. But as far as celebrating men's mental health accomplishments or encouraging other men to step out of their comfort zone of masculinity and actually do healthy behaviors that aren't considered masculine, men don't care about anything that has to do with helping men. They tend to just care about shaming women. That's what I learned in my research about International Men's Day, as well as just my research around how men engage in discourse generally. We did talk on IdGab about something Abba and Preach talked about before, interestingly enough, which was a female teacher who assaulted one of her students, one of her male students. And Abba and Preach, like a lot of men online, seem to be extremely upset at that. But their framing of that video is very much like, if it was a man, though, if it was a man, women get away with everything. And it poses men against women instead of posing men against who they should be posed against, which is the court system in that case, who is predominantly men. So when you have men letting women off for assaulting a child because there's a certain view in a patriarchal society about women's ability to take advantage, a boy's ability to be taken advantage of, and how there is no such thing as RAPE when it comes to a boy, because all he was doing was getting laid, and other men talking about, if that was my son, I would be cheering him on. And I wish that was my teacher. Boosie talking about he had his son essayed by a grown woman. Other men in the comments cheering him on, saying, as soon as my son is 13, I'm gonna get him the same treatment. Right? So your enemy in my mind is men, because men are reinforcing these stereotypes, and men are literally out here publicly admitting, I will have my son assaulted by a grown woman. Men are out here in the court systems when a woman assaults a child, a boy child, and men are saying, well, she deserves to go free. So it feels weird how Abba and Preach, as well as other content creators similar to them, as well as just male discourse online generally, tends to be like supporting bad behaviors in men, as well as ignoring what men do negatively to instead drag women and shame women. And the only time they seemingly care about men is in conversations where they're able to use it to drag women. Purple Lover, hi, how are you? You wanted to defend Abba and Preach?
Heck no. Not at all.
What say you about anything we've talked about today?
It actually just goes to prove, like Themis and I had said before, that our expectations at this point is in hell. And this is a clear reason why. Like, anytime you're going to spend that much time talking about how you want to further blame the victim, and yet the actual person doing the harm is barely discussed at all, is extremely problematic. But it's also not surprising coming from that community over there. So it makes perfect sense. But yeah, I've lost all faith in having any type of expectations with them at this point.
You ran out of patience.
Yeah, because, like, first of all, they look like two little kids trying to have a serious discussion. It was just really pathetic. It really looked pathetic, because between the two of them, they didn't have a whole brain cell at this point. I mean, it wasn't even worth the time they put in to edit the video to even hear what they had to say. They said a whole lot of nothing.
Okay. You have Smoke with Abba and Preach. Ooh. Somebody joined in the background, but then they left. They didn't want the smoke. But here's something that's interesting. Kidology, good friend of the channel. Ever heard of her? Anybody? Kidology actually has a video from 2 years ago. This is going to be a part of my discussion, by the way. I'm trying to download everything because I feel like people like to delete their videos once they... feel like people try to clean up their thoughts and views off of the internet and make themselves more palatable. So I'm trying to take everybody's video that I can and get it downloaded on this hard drive so I can have it available for me if I want to review it in the future. And the videos I'm reviewing specifically is a video Abba and Preach did, which I'll put on the screen now. A video Abba and Preach did and Kidology's response to it. So Abba and Preach did a video on a politician who wanted to place a curfew on men to protect women. And Kidology made a response video to that. Both of them were 2 years ago. And before I get into what those videos are about, I see Sha5N15 joined. Welcome. How are you?
Hi, Petty. Hi, Purple. How is everyone tonight?
Wonderful, thank you. And yourself?
I'm feeling delicious. But my name is pronounced Shania. I just spelled it like that because, you know, uniqueness and whatnot.
Why you went on mute? I didn't say anything.
Your face was priceless, Petty.
I was trying to read it to see. I'm sorry, but you came up to defend Abba and Preach.
Oh my God, no.
But you had thoughts about the entire thing.
Yeah, I'm just not surprised. It's just two grown men defending another random man. Oh, of course it's bad. Yeah, domestic violence is bad. Okay, but say why it's bad. It's not, oh, it's bad because it's bad. You need to say why.
I don't think they're overtly defending him, but I do agree with you that they are defending him indirectly. Because again, when you have a 20-minute conversation and you save like an extremely minuscule part to say, oh, what he's doing is bad, that part is bad. But even in their attack of him, they were like, yeah, but just because he's bad doesn't mean what he was saying about her wearing the outfit outside is wrong, and that doesn't make him insecure. Like, it feels like even in their critique of him being abusive, they were trying to go back and defend certain parts of him, which I think is weird. So yeah, I do agree with you when you frame your videos in this way, where again, there's an abuser, a victim, and the victim's mom, who is also a victim indirectly. And the entire conversation is pretty much about the victim's mom and why are they talking to the abuser instead of actually critiquing the abuser in any meaningful way. I do think that is indirectly providing insulation for the abuser. So yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, completely providing him insulation, because if you're spending all your time talking about the victims in this case and you never bring up the abuser, you don't have to defend the abuser. Just by the fact that you're focusing on the victim and bashing the victim is in and of itself a form of protecting the abuser.
Yeah, like the people who are like, what were you wearing though? Well, okay, why were you out that late though? Whenever a woman brings up like, oh, I was abused, I was assaulted or something like that, and they run right past, oh my God, what a horrible person, how could they do that to you? And they run straight to, well, why were you out that late? Well, what were you doing over there? You know, that's a bad part of town. You're absolutely defending the abuser in my mind, even if you're not doing so overtly. So, yep, 100% agree.
But the best messages tend to get through when you're doing it subliminally. Ooh, I can't get the word
Completely
out
understand.
tonight.
I also have live. I have a live. I have live.
My tongue gave up the ghost. I'm trying to pronounce that properly. But
wait, are you eating?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Got it. So if those are all your thoughts, I'll quickly wrap up with I would have liked to look at Kidology's video and then Abba's response, but they are way too long. So maybe in a different video. But Kidology made a video that I thought was extremely good. I watched this a long time ago, don't remember exactly what she said, but she was responding to Abba and Preach's video, which they titled "Let's Place a Curfew on Men." They're critiquing a politician who was well, first let me introduce it like this. I think framing is important, right? Because I only have like 2,000 subscribers, and I feel like it's extremely important how I tackle this conversation and conversations like this. Abba and Preach, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you look at it, have a much larger burden than I do in framing their content and how they present their content, because they have a much larger audience than I do. So let's take Donald Trump, for example, and the Capitol riots and how he's fighting charges for that because of his place in inciting stuff like that. Or there's a really, really big streamer named Kai Cenat, I think, who is I think he was arrested and faced charges for inciting violence. I'm not too familiar with that. Interestingly enough, the only reason I know about that is because Abba and Preach made a video on it, where I think they talked about how he's a very big streamer and he has a responsibility. Interestingly enough, he has a responsibility in how he says stuff and how he incites certain stuff in his audience. They talk about that. So I think they understand the idea that because they have a very large platform, they have a very big responsibility in how they frame their conversations. Obviously, I'm not saying Abba and Preach are directly inciting violence or anything like that in the way that I guess Donald Trump and Kai Cenat were charged with. I'm only pointing out that as being a larger content creator, especially one who have millions of subscribers and millions of views, who tend to be from young men ages 18 to 28, when you're talking about domestic violence, I think it's extremely domestic violence towards women from men, men who are in your age demographic, from a man who is like in your audience age demographic. I think it's extremely important how you frame your conversation about that. And what I realized was Abba and Preach seem to, in my opinion, this isn't fleshed out because I haven't done an outline or anything like that. So this is going to sound really rough. Abba and Preach seem to frame their videos in a way to incite what feels like to me, incite anger in young men towards women. It feels like when I go through their catalog, the majority of their videos tend to be focused on quote unquote holding women accountable. You know, those videos that you find online and they're like, modern feminist delusional woman thinks she's better than men, or modern woman gets humbled, or this female thinks she's hot, but these men humbled her and showed her she's used goods. Like, it feels like their videos, I'm not saying those are Abba and Preach's videos, by the way. I'm just giving examples of titles and stuff that I feel like someone who makes a channel like theirs would do their video. It feels very geared towards how can I get young men upset at women today? How can I get young men angry at women today? Even in conversations where women are the victims, like we just watched in this video, it feels like, okay, but how can I point out what did the women do wrong in this situation? What did the mom do wrong in this situation, though? That feels like what their channel is. And I am using that video that I put on the screen that they made about the politician, because in that video for 7 minutes, they talked about a woman in the UK, a politician in the UK, who suggested that we should have a curfew on men and that men should be in the house by 6 p.m. They should have a 6 p.m. curfew in order to protect women. Abba and Preach were extremely upset at that. The full context, I'll try to be brief, is that a woman was walking out late at night and she was assaulted and unalived. Assaulted isn't the word. I'm just trying to like mince my language so that YouTube doesn't flag the video any more than they already have for everything we've talked about. But basically she was RAPE'd and then unalived. And that politician was like, okay, after this happened, it like blew up in the UK. It was on all the news stories and organizations. Everybody was talking about it. There was a lot of discourse and debate about it online. And this politician suggested that they place a curfew on men to protect women. Abba and Preach seem to be very upset about that. Kidology made a video responding to that, which is the one I put on the screen. It was 2 years ago before Kidology did what she did recently. So let's just go back in time and forget about current things. I thought it was a very well-made video where she defends Jenny Jones, the politician they're attacking, because although Abba and Preach framed their video like, what if a man said that they should put a curfew on women, y'all would be up in arms. And if a man said that y'all should do this, y'all would be calling him crazy for trying to control women. And why are y'all trying to control men and blah, 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 blah. The framing of their video is very much like, feels like it's meant to incite anger in young men. I'll say that again. Kidology points out the fact that the only reason the politician in question said that was to respond to her male politician. I don't know if politicians are called co-workers or whatever, colleagues. Her male politician colleagues who did suggest that there should be a curfew on women in order to protect women from being assaulted, and that women should stay inside so that they don't get assaulted. The woman that Abba and Preach were critiquing, the only reason she said they should have a curfew on men is to point out the hypocrisy in the male politicians who were suggesting things like that for women. And she seemed to be, number one, pointing out the hypocrisy, but number two, saying if anyone should have a curfew, it should be the people who are actually assaulting someone. Because Abba and Preach took her words out of context, they're able to frame her as like modern delusional woman who hates men and wants to control and manipulate men, when in actuality, it's not the case at all. It's actually reversed. So I was interested in going through their entire catalog and just looking at how they frame videos generally. How do they frame videos where men are the perpetrator of something? Do they frame it like, oh, well, we can't really critique this. There's no reason to talk about this at all, like they just did in this video where there's a man abusing people and they're like, why even talk about it? We all know, so who cares? Not worth talking about. But then when women do something wrong, they spend an extremely long time going very in-depth and have a lot of words to say about it. I'm just interested in going through everything that they've made and seeing how they frame their videos, and then using that as a case study to touch on hopefully a larger topic about how men tend to frame conversations in videos about men's issues or about women being bad versus men being bad, and how it tends to incite anger in men instead of actually solving anything. That was a lot. Any thoughts? We're over the 2-hour mark. I've been talking for a long time and my throat hurts.
Yeah. I think they're just playing to their niche. They're playing to their algorithm. When you're dealing with a group of men who feel rejected and feel like they can't get women, having somebody give them 101 excuses why that is, well, it's really not your fault. See, they're just really awful, is the narrative that they're going to be happy to go with. And they know who their audience is, so they're just playing to the audience. And I wouldn't be surprised if they felt that way as well. But there's a lot of people who, you know, will play for pay, basically. They may not even agree with what they're saying, but they're willing to say it just to engage the algorithm and the niche audience they're going after.
So you think it's like a grift?
Yeah.
I do.
Even if they don't believe that, they're still doing it for a little check.
Especially when you have people like your FD signifiers and other normal men who laugh at them for the type of content that they're creating. Because other men who don't feel that way don't take these type of folks seriously at all.
Oh, so FD's laughing at them, not with them.
I think with FD, he tries to navigate the waters in that niche. Like he's kind of like adjacent to it. I find his content interesting, but I also agree with him. In one of his videos, he actually said that those men who are into that type of content is never going to listen to him because he's just not their type of person. He's starting to realize it's no helping somebody that doesn't want to be helped.
Yep.
Basically. And he knows that if I'm really feeling like I want to bash women or if I want to bash men, I'm not going to go to a neutral party for that. I'm going to go where I can indulge in the behavior I'm desiring to indulge in. I'm not going to go to a neutral party for that.
And when you've been doing it for so long, like getting away with bad behavior, why would you all of a sudden go to somebody who's like, don't do this, y'all? That's not great. You're going to see that and go, shut up. And then go right back and do what you were doing.
Because he even admitted himself that if that type of content had been available when he was going through that stage, he would have indulged in it. So it's kind of odd to see, because women can go through a lot of things. We don't always have to go down the rabbit hole of just annihilating people. Of course, there's always going to be exceptions to every rule, but it seems to be more common among men than women per se to want to go on these all-out bashing the opposite sex campaigns. And I'm not ignorant to say that it's not women that do it as well, but it just seems like the male side of it seems to be a lot more louder at times than the female counterpart side. At least that's what I've seen with my algorithm when it does pop up.
I mean, Kevin Samuels did say that the men don't actually show up for the content that's about self-improvement, and that he tried to talk to men and get them to improve themselves, but they didn't come until he started dragging women. And he said the women were actually coming for the self-improvement content and not to just drag the other gender. So at least in Kevin's anecdote, I think Fresh and Fit have said this too. The roommates have said this. Various Manosphere and Red Pill creators have said, we make videos about finance, fitness, and self-improvement. The men don't tend to go to those videos. They tend to go to the videos where it's dragging women. I don't know the research on or the anecdotes on whether or not women do that too, outside of Kevin Samuel saying, oh, the women do actually come for self-improvement and critique and not just to drag the other gender. So I can't speak for that side, but at least for the men, yeah, it does seem like they are looking to drag the other gender. So agreed.
That's absolutely true.
I'm looking for, hold up.
Didn't that happen with the guy who was trying to sell suits or something?
Oh, you talk about my buddy Hafiz. I've been trying to get Themis to get one of his suits.
Yeah, like 4 people bought them or something.
I like to periodically ask Themis if he bought a Hafiz suit yet.
Let me find out. He don't want to give us YouTube videos, but he's still selling suits. Let me find out. How are you selling suits from the YouTube channel you don't nurture anymore? Let me see if they're still on here. Oof. The roommates are still on YouTube. They have not put out a video in 2 months, but we are waiting for it. We are waiting for it.
Who are these people?
You don't know the roommates? The biggest channel on YouTube? 523,000 subscribers.
Look,
never heard of them.
Shania, I don't know him either, so that was a good question.
Women consume the majority of self-help content as far as books. It is true.
Yeah.
I think that is true. I don't know if there's a stat for men and how much self-help content they consume, but I assume that's true. I have read research regarding women and reading self-help books specifically. So yeah.
But I think that's part of the programming, because like before we had, the YouTube and all of that, programming had always geared women towards doing the self-help thing. Hey, you need to use this makeup, you need to do this, you need to do that. So I think a lot of it comes down conditioning as well. Because TV has given that message. Hey, women, improve yourselves. Men, you don't have to do nothing. You can't expect women to just fall all over you because you got the latest beer or the latest car. So, and now they're pissed off because that reality is not what they're seeing in real life.
Are you guys ready?
Oh God, you're gonna show us more memes?
Huh?
You're gonna show more memes?
Absolutely.
You know I love this meme.
All right, everybody, turn your volume down.
You really want to catch fucking 350 pounds of dude in your ass?
Of course. Sounds like a good time. That's a good time to me. He hop on my meeting, he start riding me. I said, Daddy, don't stop it. Look how he drop it. Just like a pilot, I'm all in his cockpit. I lick the cock tip, I let the cock drip.
I the cock drip, I let the cock drip. Yeah. Anywho, rap
I'm so
music.
glad my brother's asleep.
The
Rap
first
music.
time I saw that video, I immediately thought of you when I saw it on TikTok.
Rap music is getting out of control. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, I don't want to show that. Can't have that at the end of the stream. That's definitely another stream. Definitely a different stream. Let's see what I have here for you guys today. What is this? Oh, that's just cute. But that has copyright music, so I can't play that. Where are my good memes? Where are my good memes? Here's one. Let's see what the homies have going on.
I'm gonna go and make one thing clear. You're messing with Scott, you're messing with me.
Damn right.
Because we're boys.
Hell yeah.
We're friends.
Yep.
We boyfriends.
Nigga, what?
We're boys and we are friends.
Oh, there you go. Hell yeah.
So we boyfriends.
No.
And nobody better mess with my boyfriend.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody better mess with his boyfriend.
They are absolutely bumping coochies.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Shania,
You know
not
how
bumping
amazing would-
coochies.
I do think more homies should get together and do homie activities together. So I do support men just being open and close to each other.
You know how amazing it would be if you and I were totally gay and into each other?
What'd you say?
You know how amazing it would be if you and I were totally gay and into each other?
What'd you say?
Okay, so that's the show I was making a reference from earlier when I sent my super chat. When I said petty Obama, it was dang, I don't remember what episode it was.
I forgot the name of that show. I know exactly what show you're talking about.
Impractical Jokers. Yeah, it was a reception episode, and he had to say names. It was Titty Obama. That was literally the only reason I put it.
I want so desperately. I've seen clips from that show, and I have some in my memes thing, and I want to show them so desperately, but I feel like they'll copyright me. I've seen some really, really funny clips from there. Let me see what's going on over here.
God is setting you free right now. Is there anything you wanted to renounce?
I want to renounce a generational curse. My child is autistic, and he has no brains at all. Like, we've tried everything, and I've gone through deliverance before, and it's just so hard to break this curse.
God is breaking this generational curse right now. Thank you, Jesus. His power is here right now. It is time now for your deliverance and your family's deliverance. I break every generational curse off of you, off of this whole family.
It has music in the background.
Every spirit attack.
We can watch it without. It's fine.
Oh my goodness.
Well, so what's going on in the church? It's been a while since I've what is going on in the church?
I mean,
when he said it's a generational curse, he wasn't kidding. So I don't know what happened. The Holy Ghost, I think, but
the Holy Ghost didn't activate on that one.
That was more like a holy booty plug. Did y'all see the way he was twitching?
That was not the Holy Spirit. That was Satan. It ain't no way. Bruce put them lips to work. Let's see what's going on with Bruce.
Drink out of the bottle. It's like, look, bro. You drink out of the bottle. It's like, look, bro.
Interesting.
Go Bruce.
Interesting.
Bruce for president.
He made an inanimate object bust. Somebody said the bottle was overly excited. Somebody said a champagne bottle nutting is crazy. That is crazy. That is actually very crazy. They said he is not beating the allegations. He's not. He's not. All right, let's see what we have in store for you guys.
Jesus, in the name of Jesus, touch all my family. Those are not here this evening. Oh, yes, Lord. Jesus, in the name of Jesus, touch all my family. Those are not here this evening. Oh, yes, Lord. Jesus.
Christians, tell me what's going on in the community right now. This is the
That
second.
honestly scared me.
This is the second video we watched from the Christians. Y'all have explaining to do. But if she going through something, she going through something. I'm not going to clown her.
I've been convinced that TikTok be trying to send me to hell. Because some of the videos on TikTok, I just know I'm going straight to hell because they be funny as shit. And Shania, my sister would have said the same thing. She used to talk about how when people got filled with the Holy Ghost in church, it used to scare the crap out of her.
No, he wiggled viciously. Okay.
My mom caught the Holy Ghost when I was like, I think I was like 6 or something, and it scared me, and I cried. My mom was crying and passed out. I was so scared. So I'm not gonna laugh at it. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Yep, that's it. That's all. Somebody said my memes aren't good today. I don't believe y'all.
They weren't.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Hey, best friend. Best friend. Get up. I got my best friend for you. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Hey, best friend. Best friend. Get up.
That's something my daughter would have done.
That is a good best friend. That's absolutely good best friend.
Iconic.
Woke up confused and jumped into action. Straight into action. I appreciate that. Let's do one more. We can do one more. It says, I thought they were all asleep.
Go to bed. Go to bed.
Now that was adorable.
Aw, baby fever.
Oh my.
Oh,
I ain't going that down far.
They were all the 3 little bears.
I don't know about baby fever, but yeah, that was something.
Somebody said the one with the cape is the leader.
That was something.
That would not give me baby fever at all. Why are y'all up in the kitchen like little
Just
midget
listen,
robbers?
though.
Not midget robbers.
Okay.
And look, you see how fast they move, so they knew they were wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I did the same thing when I was younger. I'm not gonna lie. I was climbing the fridge too at like 12 a.m. trying to get a bowl of cereal for some reason.
I lied. We have one more.
Oh my god, Petty, please.
Every time I see a homeless person, they got a dog. Y'all investing in the wrong roof. Every time I see a homeless person, they got a dog. Y'all investing in the wrong roof.
Okay, I think we've already watched that one before, but I think it's just important. It's just important. So that's all I have for you guys today. Any final thoughts?
Thank you for having me. And I just got one question for you, Petty. Is it
Mhm.
still okay for our homies to give the other homie head?
Absolutely.
That topic.
Absolutely. 100% always. If more homies gave each other head, I believe there would be less crime in the community. I believe that male on male relationships would be better and women would be safer.
If they were
Those were
open
my
about it.
fear shows.
If
Exactly.
they're
'Cause-
open about it, yes, they should publicly support it.
Child.
Okay, well,
That
this
my
was
favorite
fun.
topic. Yes, it was. Thank you for having me, because
Yeah,
it's always
Petty.
fun talking to you.
This was
Especially
ghetto,
when
but
you
I
pull
like
out
it.
your whiteboard.
Thank you.
So now I ain't giving you an inch tonight.
I actually bought a new whiteboard. It was right here, but it must have scooted away somewhere.
Is that a second panda?
Huh?
Is that a second panda?
What do you mean?
There's a little small one, and then there's a head on the cucumber.
I don't see anything.
Why did cucumber look so upset?
he turned himself into a pickle.
Oh no.
He's Pickle Rick.
adorable.
Anyway.
Okay, but Petty.
Oh.
I just need to know, when is your hairline gonna come back? You know,
It
when is
won't.
it gonna, resuscitate from that?
Oh, you know what? I saw a
Disastrous
video,
incident.
and there are some people in Turkey, and they'll surgically take hair from the back of your head and put it on the front of your head. Now, I don't know what the back of your head will be looking like, but I saw the aftermath, and those people look very nice. And I think something like that is much less invasive cosmetic surgery than something like breaking your legs in half and then stitching them back together, and then breaking them again and stitching them back together until you're 3 inches taller. So that might be a cosmetic surgery I'm actually interested in. So if y'all see me with a new hairline, don't you already know what's up. Don't comment on it, because you already
So
know
you
why
don't
I
want
got
the Themis treatment like Themis. Oh boy.
Why y'all dragging everybody? Y'all dragging Abba and Preach. Y'all didn't drag FB Signifier. Y'all dragging Thema. How y'all dragging everybody today?
Aren't
I
you
did
bald
not
in the
drag
dark though?
Themis. Themis be petty with that little hairline, dude.
Hold on,
Okay.
Petty.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have hair on the back of your head though? Because isn't it just the top that you have the hair?
I have follicles. I have follicles on the back. So
Had you thought about getting the spray paint treatment? You know how they spray the
spray
hairline
paint?
on?
No. So if you watched my last video, I forgot which video it was. I think it was the one about International Men's Day. I spoke about the fact I showed everybody my hairline, and I showed y'all what the barber did to me. And I sat in the chair, and before don't laugh, I'm very self-conscious. Before I even had time to say anything, this man. Okay, first of all, my eyes were closed. It's not like not like in any type of way. Hello, by the way, wake up, makeup, slay. You came at a weird time, but my eyes were closed because they brought the hot towel and all this stuff and put the aloe vera on my face. Thank you. Didn't know that came with the haircut, but appreciate it. So my eyes are closed. He take the hot towel off. Before I even have time to react, I hear some. I open my eyes. This man has his hand on my head, covering my eyes, and he's spraying something out of a bottle, air compressed bottle with some black stuff in it on my forehead. I didn't have time to say, "Oh no, sir, I don't want the artificial hairline." I didn't have time to say anything. It just doesn't make sense to me. Why would my hairline, which already isn't close to my eyebrows in the first place, why would you purposefully cut it all the way back up to the middle of my scalp, all the way to the middle of my head, and then spray it back on? Why not just leave it on in the first place? I feel like barbers today are getting lazy because they can just spray it back if they mess up. They can just say oops and then color it in. I don't like that. I think they need to bring back real barbers. What happened to real barbers?
But it looks bad though, because like the spray hairline, it's not giving what it's supposed to give.
Yeah, when I saw you the first time, I said, "Wait, what is going on with his head? Why is his
Like
forehead all of a
they
sudden
don't know. They don't know if I'm going on a date tonight and if we're going to go swimming. What if I What if I start
That was that
sweating?
Tyler Perry hairline.
What if I start sweating and and it's just black stuff dripping from my head, and my date is concerned? My date's like, "Is everything okay?" And I'm like, well, "Yeah, everything's okay. Why is everything okay with you?" She's like, "Maybe you should go to the bathroom." And I go to the bathroom and look in the mirror, and I got black streaks all down my face because my barber wanted to play. So I do think that's important. I do think we should shame barbers who use that. And I do think men should just embrace their hairline.
And
I blame Rock Nation.
while we're at it, we can shame Tyler Perry too, because that series that he had where everybody with those terrible hairlines that were sprayed on, that was a bit much.
I didn't. I haven't seen Tyler Perry in a long time. If I remember, people used to. I don't know if they drag his hairlines. I do know they drag his wigs, and I've seen a few of them, so I understand.
He went from the wigs now to having men with sprayed on hairlines. And
They just wear helmets.
It was terrible looking. I was like, just why? Because they actually think it looks good, and they try to spray it on even when the dude still has hair, and they try and make it look darker. It just looks like you took some shoe polish and just put it on your head. It doesn't look right.
Thank you. Somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say it. But that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for joining and contributing to the panel. Thank you everybody who came and watched. Make sure to leave a like on the video. I don't know if it's going to stay up because Dr. Phil. Oh, I forgot I had a poll going. Well, 58% of you are alkaline and 41% are acidic. Thank you for that. I don't know what that means, but Dr. Phil's clip, I don't know if how anal they are about we don't have time for a poll. I'm about to get out of here, but I don't know how anal Dr. Phil is as far as his copyright. So if YouTube leaves the video up, that's fine. If not, I'll try and cut it and make it a video or a members only stream or something like that. But thank you everybody for coming. Don't forget to like and share, comment on the video once it posts, leave your thoughts. I lied, we have one more.
Oh my goodness.
If we was together and I step out and I got fucked, like you're not tripping on
You're
it.
not gonna tell me?
Is I'm gonna tell you now.
You ain't gonna show me the video?
Hell no.
So I can look at that bitch with you and just my shit just rock up and I bust you up after I watch the video?
What?
You just gonna go just get dick and not tell me?
That's not
If I come in the house, I just got some pussy, I'm gonna tell you. But I just punished a little bitch, you heard me? If you my dog, you fuck with me. You my nigga first, my best friend first. Or we living under this fake title?
I don't know what type of I don't know.
I'm just saying though. I'm asking.
What?
Why she all saying so confused, poor baby?
That's all I have for everybody. No, you guys don't get to comment on that. You just sit with it and let it simmer. I lied. I have one more because I meant to show this to y'all on. We were supposed to watch this on Thanksgiving because I was wondering why are people getting this aggressive.
Give me my motherfucking plate. Let my motherfucking shit go. I'm not playing. And draw you in like that for real? Yes, that's my plate. I made that. Two, give me my motherfucking plate. Let my motherfucking shit go. I'm not playing. And draw you in like that for real? Yes, that's my plate. I made that.
Are y'all okay? What's going on over here?
They done got on Grandpa's nerves. honey.
Child, that's his plate. He made that.
Let me see the comments saying he's been waiting all year for that plate. Why are they touching his stuff though? They said that he snatched the Sonic coins off of it. He said he ain't leaving without mine. Yes, that's my plate. I made that. It came straight for his stomach. He is not playing whatsoever. Unc was ready to die about that play. About that plate. He identified the F out of that plate. Wait, hold up. Did he actually knock some macaroni and stuff off the plate? Let me see.
I made that. Two, give me my motherfucking plate. Let my motherfucking shit go.
This man, look at all this food he knocked. Oh my goodness.
Wasteful.
Just wasteful. But I completely understand being ready to go to war. Somebody said if it's his plate, why are you mad at him for acting like that? Y'all was trying to take his plate. Hold on, let's look at the plate one more time.
And draw you in like that for real? Yes, that's my plate. Look
at all this food. I would go to war over it too. That is a good plate. I recognize a plate like that. There is one, there is entrees, more than one entree on there. There's definitely more than one side. It is a fully stacked plate, and they was trying to pretend like it wasn't his. I'm on his side.
The way he's reacting, that's not the first time they've done that to him, and he's just
Thank you. Thank you. Do we really think this is a man who has been
Yeah,
this is
the
a
way
man who
he's
has been
reacting,
pushed.
they've done that repeatedly, and he was just like, "Not this year, damn it."
Yep, he put
This
his
is
foot
last year. That's
down.
gonna happen.
He has something to oh, the Hunger Games. Oh my goodness. Oh snap, that's my stop lying. Stop. It had to be how bad it is to be more incoherent than Carisha. Oh, that was about Kevin Gates. That's all I have for everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you all. That's his plate. He made that.
So now you sound traumatized.
Don't forget to like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet, or dislike the video if you don't like it. I already said what I said in the beginning. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Night.
I think I cut you off. My bad. Oh, she left. Well, after show. What should we do for the after show?
Pour it in there. Pour it in there.
Not a single drop in the cup. Not a single drop in the cup.
Freaking way. You better be careful. I can't even do that.
I've been doing this for years, man.
Freaking way. You better be careful. I can't even do that.
I've been doing this for years, man.
Okay. Good night, everybody.